What's up, JFW family? Welcome back to the Channel 23 podcast. The purpose of this podcast is to reach out and touch the fleet, to engage and inform everyone with all things JFW. Good morning, man.
Good morning.
Morning.
Hi, everybody.
Good morning.
This is really weird. I don't think you've ever sat there, Brother Dave, and it's freaking me out.
What?
Yeah, you've never sat right there, have you?
What, have I sat there? I mean,
Yeah, you've probably sat there before, but never right there.
It's going to be my new favorite seat,
I feel like...
Never that close, Dave.
right?
Yeah, it's weird.
He's just worried because I can, hold his hand.
Yeah, I mean...
Touch his knee.
Somebody usually does. I'm not going to mention any
Was
names.
that his knee?
What's also different is to the left of you, we got Dustin Romero in the studio today. Welcome,
Good morning,
Dustin.
everybody. In the house, Dustin.
Morning,
Thanks for
Dustin.
coming, Dustin.
Yep, so good to see Dustin. And of course, we got Super Dave and Brother Jim. This is the first time you two, Jim and Dave, Brother Dave, have been in the studio together in, I think, 4 weeks.
Yeah,
I was
3 or
here
4.
last week.
Yeah.
Jim wasn't.
I wasn't.
Oh, yeah.
Way to think about yourself.
Yeah. Didn't know you were gone.
I was just going to add to that. Oh, thanks.
Well, let's kick off with the Pledge of Allegiance.
After all that, then a
Allegiance.
pledge allegiance, huh?
Yeah. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. As a reminder, anything you hear on this podcast today is not the opinion of JFWs. It's just the 5 men in this room's. Episode 62. We're back up on the rise. It had 326 downloads. Maybe people just wanted to hear Brother Dave come back. I don't know. But
Wow.
about 100 more listens. So thanks for being back, Brother Dave.
Thank you.
And then we're at 23,135 total downloads, and we have 157 followers. That's the number that I've been saying I want to focus on.
157?
The followers. We
Yeah.
need to get that up. More people follow, more people listen. That's just how it works. So
Do you think our stickers are getting any traction?
I know we mentioned that the week before, or I did the week before.
Are they all on?
so-
I know you asked me a couple weeks ago if they were all
Yeah.
on.
I don't know.
somebody should follow up on that.
Yeah.
Put it on my list.
Well, if you see a sticker, I don't know, give Jam a shout out.
Yeah, I want to know who listens to the podcast who doesn't work at JFW. My email address is jam@jfwtrucking.com. Just shoot me an email. Tell me who you are. I would love to hear from you.
Yeah, perfect.
Yep.
Beautiful.
So, in honor of Dustin being here, if everybody doesn't know, Dustin broke his foot probably about how long ago, Dustin?
It happened in June, but I've been out since August 2nd.
Okay, he's been out since August 2nd with a broken foot. So,
Yeah.
in honor of that, I got some foot jokes.
Man.
Do you know where people go to work when they break their foot?
JFW.
IHOP. I got one more. Do you know why people with foot fetishes? Not that Dustin has a foot fetish. I'm not fetishing over his foot. I've seen pictures of it. But do you know why people with foot fetishes are losers?
Why?
They love the taste of defeat.
That's gross.
This isn't my joke, but it just makes me think of the one, what do you call a nose that's 12 inches long?
A foot. All right. Who's next?
That was an easy one to pick on, the foot jokes, because I just saw another one. Do your socks have a hole in them?
Hole in one.
That's the golf one.
Well, no. One of my socks has a hole in it. The other one doesn't. I got a hole in one.
Dave, do any of your socks have a hole in them?
No.
Every sock has a hole in it. That's where your foot goes.
Oh, got him.
Boom.
That wasn't even my dad joke.
That's
It just-
good.
Jam just hit a foot nerve.
Why don't you hit us with your dad joke?
All right. So, do you guys know when it's a law in Sweden when it's raining, you have to drive with your headlights on?
No.
I just don't know when it's raining in Sweden. Ba-da-ba.
Oh, shoot. Okay, then.
Man, that was a rough one, huh?
Yeah.
I'll stick with the sock jokes.
I just pulled it up. It's showing it's raining in Sweden.
There you go.
Oh.
Man, I'm gonna. Potter's going to have to do snow and rain in Sweden.
Yep.
Dustin, what do you got?
So I was talking to one of my friends, and he claims that he can build a gun using a 3D printer.
I think Canon's been doing that for years.
Oh, man. But I'm not impressed. I've had a Canon printer for years.
You can't come up here with a gun palm, bro.
I knew it.
He takes the wind out of your sails when
Yeah, he did.
He's good at that.
Aren't we supposed to do that? Are we supposed to
guess the joke, right?
Not supposed to give the answer?
Right? Exactly.
We are.
So, Jam, if that's the case, do you know what a redneck calls a deer with no eyes?
No, but I want to know.
Yeah? I have no idea.
Wow. You're a rednecker than me.
All right. So, what does a mermaid do when she sleeps underwater?
Blows bubbles.
Sleeps.
No.
Drowns.
Rests with the fish?
She snorkels.
I'm going to have to tell that one to Bella because
Yep.
she is the mermaid.
Mermaid, yeah.
Yep. Sweet.
They have those. They have people that go do parties dressed as a mermaid. Like they show up with mermaid tails, like the whole 9 yards, just FYI, so you know.
Yeah, my daughter's got a mermaid tail she walks around the house with.
Yeah, but she's 8.
Right, that's true.
These are grown-ass adults show up at your house with like mermaid tails on and stuff.
How can you walk
Dave,
in a mermaid tail?
I know. Your next question is, how do I know this?
Yeah.
Well, no,
Right?
I think there's probably a party for just about everything nowadays.
True.
I don't think that's...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that sounds a little calm compared to a party I probably
Yeah.
could imagine.
Yeah.
I think she's aspiring to be something greater now, but I mean, it wasn't too long ago. What do you want to be when you grow up? Mermaid? New employees. Actually, old employee, Fernanda Machan's coming back full-time temporarily. So,
Full-time temporarily.
yeah, she'll be here every day just doing what we do, but I think she's got to go back to the family business mid-April or something like that. I don't know all the details. She's coming back today. So, welcome back, Fernanda.
Yeah, welcome back, Fernanda.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Celebrations, anniversaries. Felt like I had to arm wrestle Brother Dave on this one, but Chris England, 6 years on the 9th.
Chris, thank you for that 6 years. I sat here arguing with Jam, and he's like, well, it has to be his 6th year. He has a 5-year jacket. And that just tells me one thing. It's just a pleasure to work with you, and
Yeah.
time flies.
Yeah, Chris-
you know what I mean? So he kind of heads up the shop in the morning and runs stuff out there, you know, as far as getting all the trucks going. And, I mean, he's just a key piece to keep all our wheels turning.
Yep.
Yeah,
You know?
I'd like to give him a shout out. I've seen so much growth in Chris.
Yes.
When we interviewed him, he was just like a young kid right out of school, it seems.
Yeah,
and
he was green.
he was excited to be part of, a big fleet or whatnot,
Yeah.
working on trucks. That's what he went to school for. It was his passion. And he has come so far.
Yeah.
I mean,
he really exudes confidence now.
yeah.
So shout out to him and Ricky.
Maybe a little
for
bit
keeping the
too
stuff,
much.
getting the stuff going in the morning.
Absolutely. I was like, maybe a little bit too much confidence sometimes. I'm just kidding. I like to give him crap. He's fun. He's fun, and he could take it any dishes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just all around good dude, man.
He
Thank
was a
you.
good guest on the podcast, too, here.
He was
Yeah.
a great guest on the podcast. He could do the podcast. We should actually
Once
ask
he
him
warms
do
up
it.
to you, though.
Yeah.
If he doesn't know you, he's kind of quiet.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with quiet. As long as he's not flipping you off when you walk by.
Yeah.
There's quiet and there's quiet and angry.
True.
We need some
Or is that
more.
quite angry?
True. Could be.
Ooh, dad joke. We need some more quiet around here. We had another anniversary on the 9th, and that was Holly White, 12 years. So twice as long as Kurt, same date though.
Congratulations, Holly.
Congratulations.
And then Rob White, he hit 2 years today. And then Jose Barraza's hitting 3 years on the 13th. So,
Wow, big numbers.
Right on.
yeah.
Yeah, all those people.
Yeah.
It's just no
Right.
way.
I'm surprised Jose's been here 3 years because
Yeah.
he owned his own truck. He was just had that entrepreneurial mindset,
Spirit.
But
Still does.
came on board here and fit in well and knocks it out.
He treats his truck like a business. So, he does well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Birthdays. Rick actually complained the other day that we didn't give him a birthday shout out, but that's because we don't start Sundays. We don't do Sundays till Wednesdays. So Rick had a birthday on the 8th. I think he turned 55. I just made that up.
It has to be older than that.
60?
Yeah.
Looking or acting?
Not acting.
Sorry, Rick. Happy birthday, buddy.
Happy birthday, Rick.
Happy birthday, Rick.
Sometimes it's just better to be quiet.
Quiet or quiet and angry?
Isn't that tough on a podcast, though?
You know, some people aren't happy unless they're mad. So,
All right, a moment of silence for Rick.
Alonzo Areola and Kurt Spencer share a birthday on the 9th.
Oh, that's cool.
God, they don't even look alike.
Luis Rosales has a birthday today. Grace Stutz has a birthday tomorrow. And then Jose Barraza has a birthday on the 13th. So Jose started working here on his birthday.
Wow.
Yep, I remember
How
saying
cool
that
is that?
last year.
There's someone else that has that.
There is on their birthdays or anniversary.
We just did it. Anthony Harper.
Oh,
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
Yep.
I wouldn't have been able to guess that.
Yeah, we just went over it a couple weeks ago.
sweet. Family birthday celebrations. Double OG Hernandez, his wife Brenda Hernandez, is having a birthday or had a birthday on the 9th. Happy birthday, Brenda.
Yeah, happy birthday,
Happy
Brenda.
birthday.
Happy birthday.
And do I have it wrong? Is Kurt back now? Did
Coming
he-
back on Monday.
Monday, this Monday.
sweet.
Okay.
18th?
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
Another foot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. He's
We're 2
healed
feet
up
ahead.
and been-
Oh, Dustin's not back. Only 1 foot ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, it's going to be a long podcast,
It is.
Dustin. I'm sorry. Yep. Shout outs. Jimmy V wanted to give a shout out to Troy Hunt and Chili Dog. He says, "Good morning, Senor. I want to give a shout out to Troy Hunt and Chili Dog for helping me out last Wednesday at Plant 12 from getting stuck in some ice. They didn't hesitate to grab some shovels and give me a hand. Thank you, gentlemen." We want to give a shout out to Dale Boyce. This is actually your shout out, but it's from everybody. But yeah, Dale's been killing it over at CMEX. He's kind of a one man show over there, and he contends with a lot, from the wind to rock hard pile trying to dig material out, to trucks getting stuck, to people showing up early, to having to grease the loader in the wind. I mean, it's not a cushy job.
The element up there is not like what we have here.
Yeah, it's,
I
It's
mean,
like working on the moon.
it is.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. He sent us a picture yesterday. I mean, he said he was like 15 feet away from the pile, and it looked like the moon. It looked like Armageddon, basically.
Yeah.
And I look outside, and it's just beautiful over here. So,
Yeah.
not sure what the weather system over there is. Super Dave,
Weather system.
they have the home weather system at Arcosa.
Against the
I do
foothills.
believe so. That being next to the foothills like that, it does create its own weather. I mean, we were up there one morning years and years ago, and the wind blew the scale house off of its foundation. It was so strong.
Yeah.
Man,
And Barb was inside. She freaked out.
If it's raining there, is it raining in Sweden?
I'd have to check.
I'm just going to turn my lights on, though.
Turn the lights on.
Well, I'll tell you what, when it's raining down here, it's usually snowing up there.
There you
Only in the winter.
Right.
Man.
JR wanted to give Chris Beam a shout out. Chris Beam found and returned JR's $300 Beats headphones. But they were gone for a while. I guess they were like missing in Chris's truck for months. And then he just found them and turned them in. So,
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yep. And then JR also wanted to give a shout out to Russell over at CMEX for always keeping the dump area operational, or trying his hardest to keep it operational. And also, he listened to the podcast last week. So,
Oh, cool.
Oh,
thanks for listening, Russ.
yeah, definitely, Russ. Thank you.
And then I want to give a shout out to Edwin Ramirez. He left us a Google review about working at JFW. He left one, and then a year later he left another one. So here's his review. 1 year working for this company, updated review. I can't believe it's been a year already. I remember about a year ago I submitted my resume and applied to a few local trucking companies. Right away, the first company to respond was JFW. Super Dave called me. I answered enthusiastically and was excited to come in for an interview. I met with Dave, and he was so nice and welcoming. We went on a drive through the city, and we came back. Then we went into a conference room. He had a hat on the table with the packet laid out. We went over the packet. He mentioned the company's creed. I thought to myself, okay, cool. This is very organized and professional. I realized very soon after that the creed is very important and is something we must all go by in order to find success at JFW. The drivers are set to a high standard. The drivers here are given the tools and knowledge to pretty much become the special ops / elite forces of local truck hauling. They have trainers who really know their stuff. A huge shout out to my trainer, Manny V, for being patient and teaching me well. He practices what he preaches, and I learned a lot from him. Also, this company has a leadership / driver support / safety team who will be there for you 24/7. They go as far as to clean your trailer out or help you in any way you can think of. Everyone from HR to dispatch to the mechanics are top of their game. In order for you to find success here, you must live a responsible / healthy lifestyle and have a positive mindset. I love that part.
Right? And don't you have to have that to be successful anywhere?
Yes.
I highlighted that just to
Right?
make that point, Dave.
Exactly, yeah.
That's to be any place.
Absolutely.
I kind of like the way he referred to us as special ops elite.
Yeah.
I was
There's
like, right on.
There's a lot about this. That's great, but I really like that. And we don't work anywhere else. We work here. So I like that he said it about being here.
Mm-hmm.
Must drive safely and always be on defensive mode in traffic. They'll set you up to succeed. My first year, I was just testing the waters, so I got close to 60K. I met drivers who made well over 80K and even 100K. So the money's definitely here. Of course, you got to get up early and hustle throughout the day, but you'll be home just in time with family. Must have patience, too. The company started off small, but with good leadership, the brothers built a big, well-oiled machine of a company, and I am proud to be a part of it. They accept you as who you are and let you customize the truck you drive. Stickers, flags, etc. The trucks are all newer models and are very easy to operate. Now that I am established myself here, I'm going to take everything I've learned and move forward to become better. I recommend this company to anyone who wants to gain more knowledge in the industry. I'm very thankful for this opportunity, and I'm going to continue to work hard for myself and my team.
That's
That's
so
awesome.
That is awesome.
Thanks, Edwin. That's a great review. We appreciate that.
Well thought out and well
Yep.
put it.
Yeah, well written.
Mm-hmm.
And we appreciate you, you know. But one thing about Edwin too, like he does run his life like that. You know, I've ran into him at the gym and stuff. So not only is he trying to be successful here, he's trying to, you know, take care of his body as well. So
Yeah.
I've never run into you at the gym.
no, I invite you every day though.
You do.
You guys have any other shout outs for anybody?
I want to mention Kendrick. Since he's been back, he's jumped right in and always hands on and stuff. And through the last month or so here, I guess month and a half, I know he brought the toys down. He stayed with us that night. Then I know, he's been involved in both the cooler spills and work like Scooby did too. But he's been very boisterous on helping out and what needs to be done, and he's got ideas. He's just not standing around with his hands in his pockets. And yeah, Ken, glad to have you back. I know it's been a while here you've been back, but yeah, doing a great job. Thanks for everything.
Let's get into the discussion part of the podcast. The first thing, and I wrote it in bold because we are starting a campaign sometime in the near future about changing lanes safely. Brother Dave, you want to talk about this?
Of course I do, Jam.
Yeah, Jam. I know you just used those words in the near future, a campaign. Not to interrupt you, Dave, but it's been a campaign since the early '80s.
Right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's part of the reason we got rid of some of the hoods, and we added mirrors on the front of the trucks, and we had a big old, mutiny. Oh, I don't want those mirrors on my hood. I don't want those mirrors on my hood.
That looks stupid.
That looks stupid and all that kind of stuff. And like, no, it's all about safety. And here we're to a truck that's got a sloped nose so you can see. It's got a mirror. A lot of the trucks have the mirrors on above the window. We have, I think they've done away with the doggy window in the door, but we've got blind spotters, and I know we're going to go into all this stuff, but it's been a fight for as long as I can remember, and it's gotten worse in the last few months.
In the last 12 months, we've had 5 accidents.
Yeah. And
or 16 months. I don't have the time frame, but we've had 5 accidents in the last year and a half for sure.
And they're all our fault. They're avoidable.
Every single one of them are our fault, and every single one of them are 100% avoidable.
Yeah, yeah. So what do we in the campaign? What do we do? We just talked about it in the steering committee. What do we do about that? What is a campaign? You got blind spotter, you got mirrors, you got sloped hood. It comes down to the driver.
A campaign is about education and awareness,
right?
Communication.
Yep.
But I kind of got to back up here to Edwin's review, you guys. We have provided every single person in those trucks the tools, right? I know exactly what you're saying, Dave. No matter what, we are 100% responsible for ourselves, right? When we're out there in the truck, you as a driver are 100% responsible for all of your actions. But how do we promote that campaign? How do we talk about that? And to set yourself up to succeed, we've put a mirror on the front of every single hood. Right? Every single truck out there, yeah.
2.
Both sides, right? Like you said, Jim, mirror above the passenger door that looks down. Scooby's been standing out at the fuel island and going over a bunch of that with a bunch of the drivers as they come through the fuel island. And most of them are telling him, well, that's not adjusted. I can't see anything out of it, or I don't use it. It's a tool. Use it. That's part of the campaign that we need to talk about. Do you have your blinker on 5 blinks before you change lanes? Are you paying attention? 3 of those accidents, I was set straight when we were talking about it. 3 of those accidents were in trucks with blind spotter. How's that possible? You've got something yelling at you in the cab to not have that happen. So we have issues with it. We're talking about doing bracelets for all the drivers to wear, just as a reminder, a safety reminder for a lane change, a backup, anything like that. So there's just so much stuff out there, but my goodness, we have to look. We have to be engaged. And it has to be a slow motion. Of those 5 accidents, I believe, was it 2 of them? We actually did the pit maneuver where we came over so fast, we changed lanes so fast, we hit the rear of the car and took it off its path and spun it around us in front of us.
I know one for sure because it went down the guardrail of the fast lane, Dave. So
exactly.
I know one for sure. You're right.
And then I thought the other one on Santa Fe, the only reason it didn't come all the way around was because it hit the trailer on the other side.
Yeah, another trailer hit it or another truck hit it.
Exactly. Yeah. Otherwise, it would have spun around as well. But going over and bumping a car next to you is one thing. That's still an accident. It's an at-fault accident. But we didn't put someone in peril. Right. I don't know about you guys, but I've talked about it before. I can't imagine going 60 miles an hour and have a truck take my rear tires off the ground, and I'm sitting going sideways at 60 miles an hour looking at the emblem of one of our Pete's or Kenworths or Freightliners, scared to death, not knowing what's happening, going sideways down the road being pushed. Right. So
have all the accidents been on the blind side?
Oh, every single one, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dustin, what's some of the things you do before you change lanes?
I've always looked at my spot mirrors on my hood. Mm-hmm. Of course, I drive one of the hooded trucks, and I have the little doggy window too, and that's I always look out that, and I always kick my blinker on, and I've never just switched lanes. I've always let it blink 3-4 times, then I switch lanes just to make sure.
Sure.
Yeah, Dustin, I when I drove 17 down to the toy drive, I haven't been driving in probably 6 months. I haven't been in one of the trucks, and you can't miss everything if you look in the mirrors. Right. On those trucks, you can't miss what's there.
Right.
And
so you're saying there's no blind spot.
There is no blind spot,
right?
There is no blind spot. Yeah, Dave, sorry if I'm confused. Sounds confusing. There is no blind spot, and this last accident we just had, we love that you guys are relaxed. You're sitting in the seat. You're comfortable. You don't have to shift. The automatics. Big O safe following distance, the whole bit. But when that driver changed lanes, he never moved. Never moved. Was leaned over a little bit in the seat, down in the seat. Never moved to make that lane change. And he glanced in the mirror, but that's all the interaction he did to make that lane change. And, obviously, like I said, I hadn't been driving in a while, but in 17, I leaned up. I mean, I'm sure you do, Dustin. You lean up, you look in that hood mirror and go, hey, there's nothing there. You turn on your turn signal, or you've already got it on, and it's an easy move. So I guess, like you were saying, Dave, that it's our fault. 100% the driver's fault, and
100% avoidable.
Yeah. And Edwin states it in there. It doesn't say do your job, but how we can be better.
Right.
And most everybody, probably won't remember, but we just settled a claim up on getting off on I-25 onto 119 there in Longmont. We had a car stop in front of us on the off ramp to go down onto 119, and we stopped. The car started to go again, and the lady stopped again just as we were looking back to see the traffic coming to see if we could go, and bumped into the lady. Okay, it couldn't have been 3 miles an hour, but we still.
It was enough to shut off the fuel pump on the Cadillac.
Cadillac, but this lady, we have it on film, got out of the car and helped us push her car out of the way because we couldn't get it going, all that kind of stuff. So it wasn't injured, didn't act injured. It was an accident. Okay, I think it's an easier accident to explain than somebody being in the blind spot and just hitting them.
Right.
But the point to my story is we just had to settle that, and we paid $100,000. That was the settlement on that case. That's what.
Yeah, and I could be wrong. Do you remember, Jam? Wasn't there only $4,000 or $5,000 damage to the car?
I don't recall. Yeah, it wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you were saying the insurance company contacted you guys. They were excited that they saved us $200,000.
Yeah,
they had it reserved for $300,000 for bumping somebody.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so, good news. We settled for $100,000.
Yeah.
And so that, these, and again, I like to tell everybody that when we get sued, or when JFW sues, or there's a claim, you're sued individually also. You are protected by us and by our insurance company, but you're drugged through that. And, if you're not, JR makes a nice statement here on the safety that we'll read here in a bit, but if you're not defendable or you're not accountable, they're going to find you. They're going to get money out of you personally. You're a lot of people are at risk, but that's because you're not accountable.
Now that driver doesn't work anymore. Do you know if he was included in the?
It never went to that, Jim, because we settled.
Right.
We have one now that's going to court though,
right.
and we all know that was the person's claiming a back injury from having the mirror broken. We know that's crazy sounding.
Right.
But it's just, in every magazine we get is they're calling them nuclear settlements.
Nuclear verdict.
Yep, nuclear verdict or settlement, and that's that the jury is giving the plaintiff these settlements that are
unimaginable, like $1 billion.
Yeah, like I'm asking for I got $500,000 worth of damage or medical bills, but the jury's going, okay, that's fine, but we're going to award you, like Dave said, $2 billion or $2 million above what even claimed, because again, how do we look to the public? Who's sitting on the jury? Your peers, supposedly, but they also don't like us because of the way we act out on the road.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're saying that the trucking companies are always on the losing side?
Just about, except for like with our cameras when we have cases, Dustin.
Yeah.
We've been exonerated, I don't know how many times, but when you drive those many miles, we're going to have accidents, right? We're not perfect.
Yeah.
But we can certainly, like the blind spot one, we can certainly stop that.
Yeah, one other thing you can do, we're saying there is no blind spot in a truck because of all the mirrors. But if you're not sure if you got a car right next to you, there's two ways to tell. You could either slow down a little bit and see if something appears in your mirrors or in front of your hood, or you could speed up a little bit, to make sure there's nothing there. But check, and then triple check before you change lanes. So
I think a big thing that people, and we've seen it on our cameras time and time again, when you're attempting to change lanes or any kind of maneuver, sit up in your chair, look around. Don't just sit there like you're relaxing going down a 2-lane for 500 miles.
Well, and Dave, we were talking about this obviously Monday at our steering committee meeting, but you keyed on it. As you're needing over and needing to change lanes, you're looking in your mirror minutes before this happens, not seconds. And all of these accidents, it was, I need to change lanes, look and get over. There was no preparation, right? When you need to change lanes, you need to be looking in that mirror. Cars are going past you, and you're like, okay, when this Ford Bronco goes by, there's a big gap. I'm going to slip in behind that car.
That's
right.
What I do every time.
You're constantly looking at the side, looking forward, looking at the side, looking forward, looking in the other mirror, looking at the side, looking forward. You know what I mean? That's part of your constant head movements. Your head needs to be on a swivel. We talk about that all the time. You can't just decide, I need to change lanes. I wonder if there's anything there. You should know.
Yeah,
you should know what's
then
there.
When you do initiate the lane change, you got to look again, because what if a motorcycle slipped
Absolutely,
in there?
Dave, yeah.
Or an impatient driver that was behind you.
Right.
Even though that you have your turn signal on, they could still jump in the other lane.
Absolutely.
And I've had that happen so many times.
They don't pay attention, or they don't really care that your signal's on. If they have it in their mind, they're going around, they're going to go.
Yep.
Yeah.
I tell you what, though, I think there's more people that do give you a break when your signal's on than don't. Of course, we remember the ones that don't because you're like, that guy's a friggin' jerk, right? But I would tell you well over 50% of the time, you turn a signal on and people are helping you. So
yeah, they don't want to get hit.
Yeah.
That guy's coming over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we do have the ones that speed up. They throw your signal on and, oh, no, they're not having it. But like you said, there's more people that'll give you the space and not. So.
Yeah. You mentioned, Jam, about speed up or slow down. And I think it's funny, we drive enough, and everyone here can identify with this. You're in a vehicle, and I'm just making this up, but it's just you and another vehicle on the road. And at some point, they've come up on you, and now they're just sitting next to you. Right. They're not going that same speed, and you're like, well, I'm going to need over. My exit's, down here, and I'm making it up. Like I'm going 25 southbound. I need to catch 270, right? So you need to get to that left lane, and you slow down a little bit, and that car slows down. Or generally what you try and do is speed up, right? And that car speeds up. I've just found it easy, like you just lift off the throttle or even grab just a pinch of brakes, and you slow up, and that car's like, what's going on? Right. Like it was a wake-up call. They don't realize when you speed up, they've sped up, but when you hit the brakes, it's a wake-up. They're like...
Until they nab the brakes beside you, Dave.
Yeah.
And you're like, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've purposely done it, like in my pickup. Obviously, you can't as easy in the car or in a big truck, but you're next to someone, and it's like, well, I need either in front or behind this person. I've slowed up, and they've slowed up. Now I've sped up and they're speeding up, and you just grab that brake for a second, they hit the brakes, and then you go and get back in front of them. And it's like, you're just a really uneducated driver.
Right. We love you. We kind of touched on it a little bit, but you had mentioned, Brother Dave, 3 of those accidents, we actually had the blind spotters on the trucks. Blind spotters, for anybody listening that doesn't know what that is, that's kind of is it a sonar? Would you call it sonar?
Totally, yeah.
So it detects a vehicle next to you, and when you put your turn signal on, it beeps at you saying, hey, there's a car next to you, and there's a little red light in the corner of your dashboard on the passenger side that'll pop on if there's something next to you, or it'll be yellow or green if there's not, right? Well, how could we have accidents changing lanes if we have the blind spotter? Well, your turn signal needs to be on for one. I'm not saying those people didn't have it on, but if you just throw your turn signal on and change lanes, you've defeated the purpose of the blind spotter. Mm-hmm. It's not giving you enough time to let you know, or it's letting you know and you don't have enough time to react, or you're just not paying attention to it.
So that's back to, you can take Edwin's review right there. We've given you the tools. You mentioned it, Dave. there's the tools. What do we do with that? We had the CPA in yesterday going over the books for the end of the year stuff, and we got to talking about that. And he goes, "Here's all the tools, but if you're not using them, then that tool is actually broken.
Right.
It's not doing you a bit of good.
It's a waste.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. For now, I don't know how much the blind spotters cost, but on 100 trucks, I mean,
I think they're $2,500.
Yeah.
Each?
Yeah. It's a lot. Jam.
it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, for not stopping accidents. I mean, we'd have a serious conversation about putting them on again. Why it's not saving us that much.
Yeah. I mean, that's $250,000 in blind spotters.
Yep.
Yeah.
We order them on everything because we don't know what accidents it is eliminating.
Right.
But here we are
Right.
with the factory shortage. We didn't get them on the last several trucks. Of the 15 Kenworths we took last year, I don't know if any
5,
of them got it. Yeah.
Maybe.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. By the way, speaking of investing money into the trucks, but we just, for the 5 trucks that we're getting, there was no ifs, ands, or buts. We got to put cameras in those trucks. That's costing $31,000 for the next 48 months just to put cameras in 5 trucks. So, but we believe in them that much. It's kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah, there's something we feel you get your return of your money back.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, moving on to power lines. We had an incident out in, was it Akron? Right?
Yes.
Yep. Went out to Akron. We had a driver got into some power lines over there, and we could talk about how to avoid doing that, but I went back and forth with, I think the company's called YW, is a power company out there, and we had called them to make sure, we're square and we don't owe them anything and everything's cool. They didn't know we called. They called us, and the guy's main concern is that we were having safety meetings and that everybody knows what to do if you hit power lines. So if you do get into some power lines, what don't you want to do, Dustin?
You don't want to get out of your truck
Why not? I'm in the power lines.
because electricity travels.
Right. So
But what does that mean?
What does it mean?
Yeah, when electricity travels, the connection is in the cab.
You're
sit-
grounded.
yeah,
You're
exactly.
grounded.
Well, technically, you're not grounded, right?
the
When you
truck
s-
is grounded.
The rubber's protecting
Yes,
you.
yes, exactly. The truck is the grounding rod, right? When you step out of the truck and you're touching the truck and the ground at the same time,
Yeah, problems.
you've now just become a grounding rod.
Right.
And the electricity could go through you. People have blown up and died,
Right.
like literally exploded
Yeah.
from this.
Yeah, if those power lines are charged, right, and the truck is actually being a conductor for electricity, and you get out, you're getting electrocuted. So I hate to say it, but our driver got out of the truck. Somebody from the power company saw him and said, "Hey, get away from the truck," and he actually ended up getting back in the truck. So double jeopardy right there. I mean, he got really lucky. So what are some things we could do to avoid getting into power lines, Dustin?
Just be aware of your surroundings.
Yep.
When I'm pulling onto a job site, of course they want you to walk it first. I always walk a job site before I dump somewhere. First thing I do is I look up, make sure there's no power lines. And even if you have somebody with you in another truck, they can say, "Hey, you have power lines above you," or
Right.
it's
Watch each
just-
other six.
Hey, one thing you want to be careful of too is the power can jump. It can travel through the air because your truck is a
grounding
ground.
rod, yeah.
Yep. And so you could be, I don't know, I'm making this up, but let's say 10 feet away from the power line, might still be close enough to make that power jump to your truck.
We've seen it jump 5 feet for sure, Dave.
Right.
I mean, physically seen it.
On Paul's truck, I
Yeah,
was there.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, we're like, oh, we're safe. We're 5 feet away from it.
Yeah.
No, didn't fly.
Yep.
Yeah, another thing you need to pay attention to is you need less room. See if I'm saying this right. When you're putting your trailer in there, you may be good. But after you dump, what happens to your truck and trailer? It moves
You
forward.
move forward.
So you got to keep in mind that you need more space than to just put your trailer up. You got to be able to get it down and out of the way as well.
Exactly.
So-
That used to be the case at Arco Concrete too, with the power lines that ran across there. You had to make sure that you dumped in the bin and only moved forward a little bit because you're going to bring your trailer down on their power lines or their telephone lines.
Right.
Yeah.
Or any structure. I mean,
Yeah.
whatever the case may be, just because you got it up doesn't mean you can get it down.
I've seen guys have to shovel from behind their trailers in salt sheds because they can't get out.
Can't get back through the door, right?
Yeah.
Justin?
Right.
Yeah.
Can't get their trailer back
Yeah,
down.
that's on our list, dumping in salt sheds, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I had years ago and then didn't think about it when I pulled back out, but it was just a telephone line, but pulled into a job site, barely cleared the lines going in. We caught him, we looked at him, but after I dumped, the truck was higher and I didn't check the lines and I drove back out and you heard the wire ting on the stacks and pop over the stacks and go out. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I just lucked out, didn't tear that down, but never thought about it coming back out that I was, 4 inches higher than when I went in. And yeah, you can't mess with that stuff. You got to be aware of everything. Yeah.
And for those of you that don't understand that was in a spring ride truck and trailer, not an air ride like we have today. So
Yeah.
in theory, we should be the same height loaded as empty with all the equipment we have now, but still could bounce more, could whatever.
Yeah, you're just lighter.
Yeah.
You're not. Could be anything. Yeah.
So if you do hit power lines and you stay in the cab of your truck, they just say to sit there and don't touch anything.
Exactly. I don't know about touching anything. I just know stay in your truck.
Yeah.
As far as calling somebody on the radio or using that stuff, but sometimes we've had cases where it's bad enough. I don't know if the radio and the other stuff works. I mean, we had a really serious case several years ago where the truck burnt right where it sat, and to start with the problem, we've talked about it on the podcast. He didn't have his company radio on, didn't have a CB on site. Everybody yelled at him that his trailer was in the air, and he didn't hear that. He did jump out of the truck, but he was scared because the electricity got so bad and it was so long and didn't pop the breaker. Is the truck lit on fire because the electricity started to burn the tires, and so he did jump, and luckily he lived. But Dave called me. I wasn't on site yet. Dave called me, and when I got up there, and to this day, it's kind of like the truck where the electricity jumped. We actually seen it. We were there. You can't believe it. But on this one, because the breakers, or the transformer didn't pop, the electricity was dancing on the ground, Dustin.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
Around it, a blue light.
Yeah, you could see the blue light,
Wow.
Dance around the truck, going to the tires and back, and you're just shit smoking and
Yeah,
man.
he hit a high voltage line.
Yeah.
It was a transmission line from one side of Highway 36 to the other.
Yeah,
Only about 50 yards away from a transformer station.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, there was some juice.
Yeah,
and then
serious
then the fire department shows up. They can't put the truck out because you can't spray water on electricity.
Because water conducts electricity.
Right. So yeah, it was not good.
I mean, picture one of our aluminum wheels melted to a puddle of solder.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
We were coming down Highway 128, Doogie and I, and we heard the tires explode. Because everybody was on the radio. We knew what was going on at that point. We weren't close enough to see it. And it sounded like bombs going off. The tires were just exploding, and it was so loud.
Yeah, I mean, another one, Super Dave, we had, Kip call in years ago and goes on the company radio, hey, I don't know what's going on. He said, my front tire just blew out. It blew out and knocked the emblem off the hood. I got out and looked, and I got back in. I don't know what's going on. And I'm like, dude, are you in a power line? Right on the company. Oh, shit, yeah. And he didn't even know. And tires, like you said, Super Dave, were blowing out around them. And if they don't blow out, they make a burnt patch right in the bottom where they contact the ground.
Yeah.
And it's just like a burnt, and then they leak. They'll leak air out and go flat. So we've been on site and replaced 10 of the 18 tires sometimes, and
haven't been able to take enough tires up. We just put, like, if it's duals, we just put outsides on and come home just to get here to the yard.
Yeah, what blew me away is I drove the low boy up to fetch that truck under the high voltage lines the next day. You guys were there. You remember the ground was still hot.
Yes,
Yeah.
I remember that, Dave.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Day.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What's crazy is we're able to talk about it on this podcast, and we didn't lose a life last week.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How bad would that suck?
We
that'd
talk
be
about
horrible.
a lot of instances where we probably should have lost a life, Jan.
Yeah,
And it's just so important.
Yeah.
Yeah, scary.
Yeah, Dustin may remember this more just from the industry you come from, Dustin, but when they were redoing 2 1/4 right here just south of I-70, and they had a paving crew out one night paving on I-70, and they hit the pump truck, hit power lines, and that's the main transmission line again, feeding the west side of Aurora to the east side, and it actually just disintegrated the pump truck operator. He exploded. There was there was just splatter left of him. It killed the mixer driver. It killed the paver driver. I mean, it killed, I want to say like 4 people and then wounded like 3 others.
Terrible.
And after that, that's the reason those lines have the orange ball on them where it goes across the interstate there.
Got it.
So, it took a horrific accident for something like that to be marked. But again, how many people were on that site? And it was at night. So even more, we're not out at these places at night when all of our incidences have happened. So, we're still back to that person doing that job, and we just can't talk about it enough. We can't think about it enough. You can't pay attention to it about it enough. I would almost tell you everyone, Jim, also has been letting the trailer down or pulling forward. Where we raised up, we looked, it was clear.
Yeah.
And the wire was literally above the cab, where when you're looking out the back window, you didn't see it. And that's always the hiccup.
Yes, it is.
It's almost as though when we get to a job site, it should be protocol to you back up to where you're going to dump and you get out and walk away and look back at the truck.
Get out and look. Wait, come on, man.
Well, this is from a different perspective, though, Jan.
No, I get it.
You're not getting back and looking at where we're going to dump,
Still
where the
getting
material's going to lay. You have to get out and walk away from the truck and look back at it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's kind of a new perspective. We haven't ever discussed that or talked about that. I don't know whether anybody's noticed, but about a year and a half ago, all the I think, was it Brannon, Jim, or did Ready Mixed start doing it on the cones on their pickups?
Yeah, I think
I
that's
think it
where
was
they
Brannon.
Yeah, well, I think they got it from Ready Mix though, corporate, and then Brannon adopted
So
it.
it was before Brannon bought them?
Yeah, I think so. I think
okay.
I remember them having them on their pickups.
Either way, they had a handful of incidents where like their QC guys and some other people showed up on job sites, finished what they were doing at the job site, and then just hopped in the pickup and drove off. Well, they immediately just drove right into something because they forgot when they parked it was there. So now they've started a procedure. They take they're tiny, they're like coffee cup size orange cones, but they put them on the passenger side of their hood by the windshield. So no matter what, you can't drive. You get in that pickup and you're like, I got to grab the cone. You have to walk around the front of that pickup and grab that cone off and get back in and go.
Yep.
So it's foolproof. Unless you didn't get out and get that cone.
Which I think you get fired if you don't
Right,
get the cone.
right. Because that's an aha moment, like, I screwed up.
You even see them on their corporate vehicles, like
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot
not
of
the work trucks.
Yeah, Theron the other day when he was just at the corporate office, and he's parked beside another car like you do at any shopping center, and he had his cone out.
Yeah, it was kind of funny, Dustin, because he was backed in to a parking spot in the parking lot. Right? Like you walk out to the front of the vehicle to drive away, and he still put the cone out. So I thought it was pretty cool,
Yep.
They do that in the oil field as well. They have cones, but they're on the ground.
Yeah.
And I remember once I was at King Soopers, and my wife is always telling me, just pull through. Right? When you're in a parking spot and there's an empty spot in front of you. One time, this was a long time ago, guess what? I ran right into a shopping cart.
Right? Right?
So I don't like pulling through.
Yeah, I
I'll
agree.
back up.
It's so funny. Sorry to interrupt you, Dustin. We were just at Costco last weekend, and where I parked my wife's car, it's cool enough. It's got a camera on the front, and there were just vehicles waiting. We were at the end of a row, and there were vehicles waiting to come out, and it was just busy. But in front of me, there was an empty spot. A car had just left, and I'm like, well, I can drive forward. And I started to go, and I'm like, let me look at the camera right quick, just to be sure there's nothing there, And I thought that was cool to be able to look at that and drive. But I'm with you. I don't ever do that, Dave.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just, it's kind of taboo. You don't do it, right?
I was going to say, even the mechanics trucks, when they get out and put their wheel chocks on, they do it on the passenger side. So they have to walk around.
Yeah, you're walking around. Yep.
Yeah.
Smart.
even when you're just getting out of your truck to go get lunch at 7-Eleven, walk around your truck. Just don't run right out and jump in that driver door.
Right.
Take a walk around the truck. Listen.
Yeah.
Listen for air leaks. Check your tires. Looking for any leaks on the ground.
That's even after sweeping off your gate.
Yep, absolutely.
Walk
Dustin.
around your truck.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm all for walk down one side, sweep off the gate, and walk up the other side.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Give it a look and a listen.
Smart.
Touch, taste, smell.
I'm sorry, Super Dave. You were talking about Jackie told you. Was she in the truck with you when she told you to pull?
Yeah. 'Cause just like what you said, though, Dave. You park somewhere and you forget. I don't know if there was a shopping cart there when we got out. I never really looked, but she's sitting there in the passenger seat saying, "Just drive through," and I'm like, "Okay, boom."
You were telling me that, and JR told me this joke the other day. I hope I don't mess it up, but he's like, yeah, my girlfriend told me to get in touch with my feminine side, so I went out and the car crashed and I didn't talk to her for a week.
I kind of laugh. Have you guys seen any of the TikTok videos where, the guy is always upset because he lets his girlfriend borrow the car and she curbs the wheels and opens the door into something. And the next little clip, he goes out there with her, I'm making it up, like her Versace shoes, and they're in the street and he's just grinding them up and down the curb. And she's like, okay. And then the next scene shows her in a car and she's parked like 3 feet away from the curb because he made his point, like, don't park my car near the curb,
I like that.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right, we got quite the list of things to go over. It was an easy outline to write because we had a lot of things happening. So, JR caught me on my way up the stairs. He asked me to talk about drivers entering their ticket info. You got to do that when you're parked, right? You can't pull off from dumping and start filling out your axon as you're driving away.
Was that distracted driving?
That is distracted driving. So, good point.
I just have to sit there and go, what the are you thinking?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, it may just. I'm not minimizing it. It's not like they're out on I-70 doing it, but they're pulling away from the job site doing it, and that's distracted driving.
We probably have as many accidents off the highway as we do on the highway.
Just as a reminder, this isn't a threat, but we had a guy distracted driving in Morton, run into the sand pile and get stuck, and that was his last day. So don't do it. Tire issues. Brother Dave, you want to talk about this one?
What'd you say? Tire shoes?
Tire your shoes. Tire shoes.
Issues.
Tire issues.
Tire issues.
Tire shoes.
Oh my
Tire
God.
shoes.
Otherwise, you'll trip.
Yeah.
I don't have any
what?
idea.
I don't have that on my outline.
Sure you do.
Yeah. Where do you start on tire issues?
I actually skipped checking your tailgate, but let's talk about tying your shoes first.
Well, maybe when you're tying your shoes, you can
check
bump
your
your tires and look at your gate.
Yeah. I just ran into somebody a couple weeks ago and we were talking and he said he kicked his tires and I'm like, you what? Well, when I was kicking my tire and I'm like, I got to stop you right there. You're not really kicking your tires, right? Well, no, bumping them. And I'm like, with what? A hammer.
My shoe.
And I'm like, yeah, right? Yeah, it still made me wonder whether he was truly kicking the tires or not.
I'm bumping them with my foot cast.
Kicking it one-legged. Hey, so tire issues. I just did the math on that here a while back. How many tires are we running? Like 1,500 tires or something like that?
Oh, man, you're going to make me do it.
Yeah, so anyway, the tire issues are just, they're avoidable. They're like accidents, but you have to be focused. You have to be engaged. We talk about that post-trip all the time. Monday morning we showed up here, and what did the shop fix? 5 flat tires, Jam?
4 or 5 for sure.
So Chris England, with his expert of 6 years worth of knowledge, was stuck having to repair 6 flat tires Monday morning. One was a bulge in a tire that was seen in the dark in the morning, right? Well, that should have easily been seen in the daylight when we parked at night. Much better to do the stuff at night because, again, we go over it. How many mechanics do we have at night and how many mechanics do we have in the morning? We are super minimal staffed in the morning because we shouldn't have that many issues because everything was repaired at night when we're fully staffed. Another one, I think 2 more were nails that were leaking. One was completely off of the bead. We talk about this all the time. When it's completely off of the bead, you clearly didn't check it when you came in the night before.
The old rookie ring.
Well, it didn't have rookie rings, Dustin, but you know as well as I, it was completely low.
Yeah.
Easy to bump and check. So we're back to the, I joke about it on here, but the Bill Belichick, one of his most famous quotes is just do your job. And it's super easy. Again, we've given you the tools, but you have to have the mindset. You guys mentioned Jose Barraza, being an independent owner operator, and Jam, you said, he treats that truck like he still is. That's how he's successful. He's very successful here, but that's because he's proactive. He's checking that truck. I don't know how many people we see just park and walk away, and what are you looking at, right? They didn't teach you that when you got your license. We didn't teach you that when you got here. If you're going to be successful in anything, you have to be prepared. You have to do that, right? So you need to look at those tires as you're walking past them. You need to listen for air leaks. When we have someone that brings a tire in and it has a bolt and it is 100% flat, zero air in the morning, but it was parked like that 12 hours ago, that's just inexcusable to me. You did zero of your job, zero. And it is frustrating.
Post-trip.
Right? How do you spell that, Dave?
Post-trip.
Don't put him on the spot like that.
Keep in mind too, if you leave the yard late because you didn't do a good post trip and you got a tire off the bead the next day, I mean that's your attendance bump. That's your month of PTO. I mean, there is ramifications for not doing a good post trip and leaving late because of it.
And we have been extremely lenient
Yeah.
on that. Extremely lenient. Matter of fact, so lenient it could be time we need to bring out the Kraken whips and get things whipped back in shape. You know what I mean?
They're back in shape.
Good.
Yeah.
I did that one time 6 years ago. Didn't do a post trip. I had a wheel off the bead and a tire off the bead, and Jim had to fix my tire in the morning. And I felt so stupid.
That's how you know about a rookie ring, though.
That's how I knew about a rookie ring.
And we're not talking on the outside of the tire, right,
Nope,
Dustin?
it was
we're
on the
talking about the
inside,
inside of the
between the
tire.
duals.
Yep.
Yeah, there's just, it's usually obvious on that it wasn't checked.
Yep.
Because the tire tells the truth, of what happened to it. So
That was your first question, too. Did you check it? And I was all, nope. Man.
Good answer though, Dustin.
Yes,
'cause
good answer.
it would have been so much worse to be like, absolutely, I bumped it. It was fine. Because I don't want to say all the time we get that story, but obviously we've gotten that story, and you're like, well then, dude, how does it have a rookie ring between the two duals? Because it was flopping around when you drove in and parked, rubbing the other tire.
Yeah.
it didn't create that ring from there to here.
Not from the red lot to the shop.
Yeah. So, and guess what? You were loaded at some point because the other tire was squishing.
So explain this. So explain why, if you come in the morning and you have a tire off the bead, that didn't happen overnight. Explain why that's not possible.
Because you can't lose 100 pounds of air in 10 hours unless it's an extremely bad leak.
Right.
Yeah, and the other thing is, anybody that's in this is most of the time. I mean, some of the Michelins are a little bit softer sidewall, but if anybody's watched Chris or anybody fixed a tire, okay, you beat the tire off the rim. Right. You have to break the bead from the tire to the rim with a hammer. Okay, how that bead got broken before is you drove it that way with it being flat, and the tire under pressure broke off the bead.
Exactly.
And so, that's part of how we know, hey, you came in and the tire was already flat.
It was already off the bead.
Off the bead.
Yeah.
Yep.
Something I want to mention on that is I heard a call in on the radio last week, I think it was, and the driver said his self-inflation light was blinking, but it wasn't blinking fast. And you're making me laugh. It wasn't a joke. It really happened.
That's exactly the same thing that happened at that rave party I was at with the strobe lights. They're not blinking fast.
So does that mean it just has a slow leak? If it's
That was what
slow?
the driver thought. He said it's barely blinking, and Chris immediately straightened him out on the radio like, that's never going to change. That's the information that's telling you that there's a tire low back there. You need to stop. get out and find which one it is. It's not going to blink slow if it's a slow leak, or fast if it's a fast leak, And, those are just the things. Again, we've tried to come up with every tool. So all the trailers that have single wheels on them, which are almost 100% of our end dumps except one. And then the rock trailers have duals, so they don't have self-inflation systems. But the self-inflation systems, we've come up with this badass strobe light.
Instead of just a solid light.
To warn you
instead
that
of a condensate light.
Yeah.
It's like a little person standing back there going, something's wrong. Help me.
It was a game changer.
And we moved it from the side of the trailer to the front of the fender.
Yeah.
So it's actually facing you.
Right? So again, we've bought and paid for all the tools we can come up with. Those self-inflation systems, they're $1,500, right? We don't have to put them on every trailer. Do the math on that, Jam.
150 grand.
Exactly. Exactly. To warn a driver.
Yep.
Right?
But can't check their tires or...
Yeah. Why did we do that?
Yep. Yep. And the thing is, we probably haven't talked about it in a long time. I know JR hasn't been doing a class after the orientation because we've been so busy. But does all our drivers know how to check the system to see if it's working?
Right, exactly.
I mean, when's the last time we've talked about that, you guys?
And here again, all the trucks pre-COVID that we had bought all have the TPMS system on them, the tire pressure monitoring system. Well, all the last trucks that we've bought, some got it, some didn't, because that's all that was available.
Wow.
So we have a barrage of, a year from now, Jim and I can't stand there and go, why didn't you look at your tires? That truck's got a TPMS system. Well, it may not.
Right.
Right? It may or may not. I can't even stand here and tell you now, right? Because it's just...
Yeah, I can't believe that they don't have the parts to put that on.
Well, Dave, these 5 Pete's sitting here don't have blind spotter, but they have all the bracket and wiring for it.
I saw that, yeah.
So, I mean, everybody's just muddling through it right now, Right. But anyway, tires, they're I don't know where they rank in our costs, Jim. We'd have to sit down and do the math on that, but my
went
goodness.
over that at the Christmas party. Weren't you listening?
Well, what we spent on them, yeah. How many, though, were at fault, Dave? How many were ruined?
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. How many were like an avoidable accident, right? Mm-hmm. We just drug 3 of them that sat there at the door for 3 weeks. We just drug 3 virtually. They were 85 or 90% new tires.
Yeah, Dan Hawk, he's just moving into a new truck out of this yard today. He came over today, and a lot of the guys don't get over here much from the yard 23. And he looked at that tire and he said, "Oh my God, who did that?"
Right.
Yeah, because where are we at, Dave? Am I making it up? Are we almost 200,000 miles on a trailer tire?
Absolutely.
On the lift axle, if we're running them back and forth, right?
Absolutely.
One's off the ground.
Yes.
So the question, like you're getting at what we spent and how many is damaged, is how many miles a year do you run, Dustin? What do you think? We're at
probably like 80,000.
80 to 100,
80
right?
to 100,
right?
yeah.
Right. So 2 years, if you're hooked to the same trailer, you should easily have the same trailer tires for 2 years, if they were new.
I mean, we could probably just back up and go, okay, how many trailer tires have we ruined at gravel pits? Between Fry's and the dairies and... You know what I mean? Just the gravel pits. Knock on wood, we've been doing pretty good at Morton. I shouldn't even say anything anymore. I wonder if they built a dirt berm or something that we have to drive over to get straight. I know it. I can't.
I mean, how many times did we not get straight to get on the scale?
Right?
At Morton. Holy moly. Yeah. You know what happens, though, because I know we kind of skipped over it, when you have a bad tire issue, your tailgate pops open, right?
I've had that happen.
I probably just ruined so many. Everybody, my tailgate popped open because I had a flat tire. I can just hear that.
Yeah.
So
speaking of tailgates, so why would we even have to mention to check your tailgates? Because
it's that time of season.
We go through it. We go through it with somebody and check the tailgate, and then we got 10 tons of material on the ground under the can.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. So,
or breaking windshields with just a regular load, right? Rock, sand, whatever, jam, yeah.
So it's not just checking your tailgate at cores, but definitely check your tailgate before you start loading under cores, because if there's a mess over there, it's a lot to get mobilized and cleaned up if there's more than, a couple shovels full on the ground, which there's going to be more than that. So especially if you're swapping trailers, if you're a weekend driver, if you're preloading trucks, if you're just grabbing multiple trailers, you got to pre-trip every single one of those, or at least make sure the tailgate's shut. Otherwise, we run into big problems.
Make sure the airbags are inflated.
Make sure the airbags are inflated.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, I think some of that, I don't know, I guess I'd have to check on a couple of trucks, but I had a couple trucks go by the building this morning leaving, and upstairs it is just so loud, you guys, because you hear the engine fan on, first thing in the morning.
Did you look at the Freightliner that left the yard this morning?
Was it a Freightliner, Dave? Because it was just so loud.
Oh, it was incredibly loud.
And I know the Freightliners run the fan
Until they're full of air.
Right.
Right.
And that's the reason I'm saying check it. Like, do the Kenworths do that too? Because it leads me back that the truck wasn't full of air.
Right.
So the airbags couldn't have been working right. The tailgate couldn't be working right. Your tire inflation system couldn't be working right.
Yeah, the whole system just isn't functioning properly.
Right.
It isn't functioning the way it was designed. We're forcing our way through it.
Yeah. You've punched the button and left, and
Yeah.
it just, God,
I walked out the door. It was a Freightliner leap because I'm like, oh my God.
Was it loud or
it
what?
Was.
Like,
It's funny you
my
mentioned
God.
that.
Yeah.
Shocker, huh, Jim?
This is good.
It's back to that touch, taste, smell, listen kind of thing. Because I was thinking when we were talking about tires, you know how many times I've when you're talking about bumping the tires or kicking them, you know what I mean? But I've rubbed my hand over a tire.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times, and it may not be feeling for a leak or whatever, but you might not see something on the sidewall on the inside or whatever, and you can feel that, and it's all about checking things out.
Yeah.
Man.
I don't know if this is an old school thing, but every time I would get out of my truck and walk to the back to sweep off, I'd always touch my tires to see how hot they were.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, you can pick one out low sometimes
Yeah.
too. Yeah, there's so many traits. When you talk about Super Dave, you mentioned about looking for leaks and stuff. I mean, how many times in the summer do you see that puddle underneath your truck and you're like, oh shit, what the hell is that? Oh, it's the air conditioner.
Right.
And because it worries you if you're paying attention.
Especially if you own a Jeep.
Right.
Jim, I know you're laughing because both Jim and I are talking about something we heard, right? And we weren't together at that moment,
Right,
right? He's upstairs listening to it. I'm downstairs. We look, right?
Right.
You've heard the story about the marker post out in Keensburg,
Yes.
like 25 years ago, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Before a mobile phone, before we knew.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
could-
So Jim was
tell it.
working days and I was shop. I was the mechanic, right? Working nights, and we had this driver come in, and we had our Ford LTL 9000s, and he had about a phone-sized chunk missing out of his right front fender. And they're fiberglass hoods, man. It's thousands of dollars of damage, right? And I'm like, Jeff, what happened to your hood? What? I had this green owl, or I had this owl come out and hit the hood. It had to be from the owl. And I'm like, what? You had an owl hit the hood? And it tore up the fiberglass? Yeah. And I'm like, whatever, and there's nothing to argue at that point, right? You're like, okay, he told me a bird caused that damage. It had to be a bird.
Can't check the camera.
So, like, you
can't
start
check the
investigating it, and you're talking about it, and you're hearing things, and other drivers are talking, and pretty soon you hear that driver missed his exit on I-76 at the Keensburg exit, because we were going out and actually loading coal in Keensburg and delivering it to Coors at that time, right? And I'm like, he missed the exit, so he had to back up off the exit? And the other driver was like, yeah, a.k.a. Doogie, Jim Smith. Thanks for that info. I'll never forget that, Doogie. So anyway, Jim's like, yeah, he missed his exit. Had to back up. And I'm like, so I go out and I look at that mark in the fender, and it's got green on it. And I'm like, no freaking way. So now he's telling me it's a green owl, right? So anyway, Jim finishes the day stuff. He dispatches and leaves, and I work whatever we need to do at the shop at night, get all the trucks ready to go. And at that time, it was 10, 12 trucks, whatever it was. So come to find out, I'm so pissed off about this hood. I'm like, I know he hit one of the delineators next to the highway out there backing up. I guarantee
But you can't figure out, the thing is about that, just to fill that in, is you can't figure out how that delineator, how that post did that.
Exactly.
That's the thing that's so bothersome about the way it looks.
Right.
So,
So
ahead.
anyway, it's like, I don't know, 1 or 2 in the morning, I get off work, and I'm like, I'm headed to Keensburg, man. There's just one way to solve this. We didn't have cameras, right? Not 25 years ago. And drive out there, and I drive just past the exit. Sure enough, there's this marker post that's a little bent. and it's right where they have an asphalt curb at the end to retain the water instead of just running off. So on the other side of that, it was a pretty tall lip. It was like an 8 or 10 inch lip that you would fall off of if the steer tire. Sure enough, you can see the tracks, man. This guy's backing up, and he's backing up like a snake. He couldn't back up straight to save his life, and put that right steer tire. It fell off right on top of that marker post, took the whole chunk out of the fender. I mean, you had to hear it. You had to feel it. You had to know it happened. The fiberglass is still laying on the ground, right? So I'm all excited. I come to work the next day, and I don't show up till 10, 11, whatever my start time was, right, for the shop stuff. And I get there, and I'm like, Jim, I figured out what happened to that fender on Jeff's truck. And he's like, yeah, me too. It turns out when Jim left here, he drove out on his own, figured it out. You know, again, before cell phones, right? So I drive out 6 hours later or 8 hours later, find out. And yeah, it just, I don't know. It's just sad the things you run into or that we've been told or.
Yeah, and I was laughing because of your back and forth, because it's like, you're not twins, but it's like twinning. You know what I mean? It's like so
Twinsies or something like
twinning.
That is funny.
It's because you want to trust also, but you want to educate, because we're not trying to make a liar out of the person, but you got to educate, because he should have heard it, right, Dave? You mentioned all that, but we shouldn't be backing up down the highway. Go down to the next exit. Turn around. Do it safe. It's all the things that could happen. I was laughing too, because that same haul we called Doogie, Jim Smith, and one of those guys, I think it was the same guy, was having trouble with the clutch. And, out of all the guys that are out there, you just can't run to Keensburg that quick. We're like, hey, Doogie, will you look at it, see if you can figure out what's wrong with the clutch? And he calls us back on the phone. He's like, well, the transmission's cut in half, or the bell housing's cut in half. And we're like, no, Jim, come on, look at. No, he said, I'm telling you guys, the bell housing is cut in half. It's separated from the truck. And again, we're like, no, Jim, look again, you
and this is before cell phones.
Yeah,
right?
before cell phones.
Can't text us a picture. Right?
Yeah, nothing. And we're like, basically, bullshit, So we load up and we go out there, or we brought the truck in, or however it was, but how it worked out was he was exactly right. But if you've ever looked at a truck clutch, it's got fingers on it. One of the fingers broke off and was pinched between the pressure plate and sat there and sawed the bell housing, spinning around in a circle at however many
making
RPM.
This awful sound.
Yeah.
And that same driver was just sitting there letting the truck run instead of shutting it off.
He just kept driving it. Yeah, he drove it all the way out there making the noise.
Yeah, we had to go pick it up with the low boy.
Yeah, it literally sawed the bell housing on the transmission in half. Jim was exactly right.
Yeah.
Wow. Was that his last chance?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, we won't go into the rest of that. I'm not going to talk.
We won't. That we hired him back several years later.
Yeah.
Trying to be nice guys.
Yeah. I just want to clarify on the tailgates. Uh-huh. We got totally sidetracked there, but when you're looking at that gate, and Dustin said season, everyone knows this time of year to prop your gate open because of freezing conditions, right? That is the whole reason. So you could go back there and have your gate open. You go to grab a Coors load, or, you grabbed someone else's truck that morning or that night, go to grab a Coors load. You need to be sure that gate was closed before you left. You do your walk around, you just check it, right? I mean, that is the reason right there. So
absolutely. Salt shed deliveries, things to be aware of, power lines. That's one thing. Dumping inside buildings, domes, and doorways. So we kind of covered this when we were talking about the power lines, but you got to make sure you got room to go up with your trailer and to get back down and out. So
yeah, I kind of just almost have to say I wouldn't dump inside a dome unless you have a spotter. I mean, I think that should be a kind of standard practice. You should almost have someone from the state or the whatever shed you're at spotting you or whatever. And I'm still reluctant in that because those people aren't professionals like we are as far as knowing our equipment.
Right.
So they may not guide you properly or whatnot. They may be telling you pull forward when there's something on your other side that you may hit or whatnot. So there's a lot to what we do. One of the calendar picks this year, we all got a kick out of it. and kind of argued about it, but it's one of the trucks. I think it's you, Dustin, right?
It is me.
Dumping inside the dome, and there's 2 giant signs on each side of the entrance that says
That
"No
was
dumping in dome." And it's like, should we really?
I
put
did
that
get
out?
permission to do that, though.
But because the state guys ask you, I've been
Yeah.
to enough
Yeah.
of them, Dustin.
Yeah.
They go, "It's empty. Can you dump inside?"
Right, but
You know?
why would you think they would have those signs up not to?
Because somebody has messed up their dome.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. So yeah.
You look
for
around
sure.
all them doorways; they're all hit.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I'm sure by their trucks too. You know,
yeah.
somebody's
By the loader,
brought a
by
load
the
back
trucks.
or a loader or whatever. Yeah, absolutely.
Casey wanted to mention when you're dumping at Rolla, doing snow removal, do not back into the mud puddle. This increases your chances of getting stuck and creating more work for the heavy equipment. When somebody's got to break away from what they're doing and go pull you out, I mean, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but it's just time wasted. So watch where you're dumping.
I think that goes for any place, whether it's roller or not. You know, you mentioned it, Dustin, about walking the job site, and I think Sergio got stuck up at Arcosa where he went around a mud puddle, but it was worse. The mud was probably worse than the mud puddle, but I go around like every mud puddle if I can. I probably take more of a chance getting stuck like that than going through it because I can't stand the water in the rims. It pisses me off on a look. But again, you have to be, are you the first person to drive around the mud puddle and you're going 8 feet away from them and out in a soft field, or what are you doing with that? So it's just, you guys, no matter what, you got to think about what's going on and what's the next step.
100%. Big Country wanted me to mention driver-to-driver communication. So, and he's specifically talking about being over at Yard 23, picking up salt. So sometimes we're able to drive around the salt bin. Sometimes you got to do a U-turn by the fuel aisle and back down into the salt bin. He's asking for more. It's snowing outside. He's asking for more communication between driver and driver. Let them know if there's room back down there to dump in. Let them know how many trucks are currently in the salt bin, stuff like that. So just do a better job communicating, please.
Yep, absolutely. Communication, radio and CB.
company radio,
Company radio, yep.
company radio,
This way everybody can hear what you're talking about.
company radio.
Super Dave.
Jam, even dispatch here could help someone at 23 over there in a truck,
Oh, yeah.
right? They know what it looks like over there.
Yeah, we got Samsara. We could see how many trucks are over there. We could figure out stuff like that for sure. Super Dave, you had mentioned the automated manual transmissions and the clutches. Do you want to talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, people, they don't realize it because there's not a clutch pedal, but those trucks have clutches in them just like a regular manual truck. So if you're parked somewhere, let's say you're at a sand pile at the gravel pit, if you're in a manual, you don't sit there with the truck in gear holding the clutch in for 10 minutes, right? But if you sit there and you're in gear in that automated manual truck, which is what we have, the truck itself is sitting there holding the clutch in. So you want to go to neutral because you're going to wear out the clutch. So anytime you're going to be parked somewhere, and I know on our sheet here it says at red lights, I mean, if the light is, 30 seconds long, you can leave it in drive. But if it's going to be 3 minutes long, you might want to put it in neutral.
Yeah, I think any place you would sit, Dave, is what we're getting at. So
Yeah.
you have to think about that transmission as a manual transmission, which it is. It's just automated by a computer. How would you drive a manual transmission? Are you going to, like you just said, are you going to sit there that whole time with the foot? Your foot's going to get tired or
leg
whatever. Yeah, the transmission gets tired of holding the clutch in, and it's wearing the important parts out.
Absolutely.
Bam. Jinx.
Twins.
Twinning. Next on the list, Brother Dave, fighting with everyone.
I'm good at that. No, I mean, you guys are talking about the AMTs, the automated manual transmissions, and, we've talked about it. It was a question. Who asked that from Yard 23? Not Chris Beam. Someone else asked, why aren't we getting trucks repaired or something like that? Why aren't we getting trucks back? This was a couple weeks ago.
I remember that. I can't remember who it was.
I can't either. And I touched upon it, but so everyone knows, we have 3 trucks down. The one went down like September 29th. Another one went down in October, and another one went down just after Thanksgiving in November. They all need MTMs, which is we've talked about it.
We mentioned a couple weeks ago.
Mechatronic
Something like that.
transmission module, and it is the whole shift plate in the top of those transmissions, and there are freaking none available, you guys. And I tell you what, yesterday I spent the time and I wrote some emails to MHC over here, to Rush Truck Centers. I alluded to, basically those 3 trucks, they're the value of $450,000. And I said, have you guys ever bought a house that costs $450,000 that you can't use? You can't go in, you can't park in the garage. It's useless to you, but you still have to make payments on it? We did. $450,000 that we can't use. So we need those parts. What we're really frustrated at is, obviously they say all these people are involved and, we've escalated it to priority and whatnot. And this is where we're really frustrated. They're still making those parts and selling them on new trucks, but we're not getting our old trucks. Right. There's no parts available for the old trucks. And when I say old, they're 2 years old. Yeah. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And so I have literally become a dickhead to these guys. And I've told them, I'm not going to stop. I'm throwing shit bombs, and guess what? You're going to get some shit on you. That's just it in a nutshell. And I guess, it's not just we're here for us fighting that. We're here for the drivers of those trucks. They've been without those trucks for 3 months, the one. And the thing is, where we're really nervous now is they're telling us they're prioritizing those based on the time the trucks went down. You're telling me we've had one down for over 3 months and we're not priority? Right. How many more are down throughout the U.S.? Right. We even had a big meeting last week. MHC Kenworth here brought in the couple of the head people for the region for PACCAR and for Kenworth, and they were like, listen, we've elevated this to a priority status. And I'm like, I don't care. You need to elevate it to above priority.
A fixed status.
Yeah. And this sounds terrible, but when a problem starts, it starts at the bottom and it works its way up, right? I don't think it's getting to the top. Eaton may not be aware of this, or, PACCAR at the top may not be aware of it, and they need to be. And that's the reason I'm just going to keep throwing shit until somebody gets shit on them and they don't like it. And it's a fight we continue. It's a grind, and it's frustrating. We've been through the whole parts woe here now after COVID for, I thought it was getting better, but it feels like some days it's getting worse. Mike got to the point where we couldn't get a fan belt for some of the trucks. Wow. And it is ridiculous. So we are fighting, we are battling. We're doing everything in our power, and I will just keep sending emails and yelling at people. I call both our salesmen. We have direct ties. I can physically text or call either of the branch managers. You go to MHC or you go to Rush, we're talking to the top guy. They run the whole facility, either place. And we're talking to him. When I sent the email to Rush yesterday, the guy called me. He was on the phone 15 minutes after I sent the email going, Dave, I'm going to do everything I can. And I said, well, good, because Rusty Rush, he's a pretty big shot at your place over there at Rush Truck Centers, right? He's like, yeah. And I said, I bet Rusty would be pissed if he had 3 trucks and there's no one can give us a time frame. No one can give us a time frame when we'll get parts. I said, we can't treat our customers like that. It is ridiculous, and it's frustrating. It's frustrating on all levels. And when I told them, stop producing transmissions for the new trucks, or go to the factory and snag some transmissions and get us up and going. Get people throughout the country up and going that are in the same position as us. And they tried to give us some long hubbub about, well, geez, you don't understand. Those transmissions were bought and paid for 6 months ago for the factory. And I'm like, well, you don't understand. You shut down at the blink of an eye during COVID. And I said, you sure don't bother yourselves when you come to us and go, hey, you can't get TPMS on the trucks because it's not available. You can't get the blind spotter because it's not available. I bet if you told us you can't get the AMT transmission because it's not available, we'd be like, okay, we still need a truck and we still need a transmission. Put a manual in it. Right. We ran them for 50 years before that. We'll take them. Right. We'll keep on trucking. Is that so you can service your customers that are down throughout the United States? That kind of makes sense, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, just I can't express our concern and our frustration with that. You know, and one of the big things that I've mentioned it before, that MTM was supposed to be a serviceable unit. There are many, many, many components inside of that MTM that are repairable and replaceable. And Eaton has taken 40 of them and rebuilt 40 of them, and 3 worked.
Sad.
Right? So, I don't know.
Yeah, that just, even hearing you talk about it's pretty frustrating, you know, to be more concerned about making more sales than to...
Oh, totally, Jam. It makes me... It just infuriates
than
me.
to stand behind your product and make your product work.
I told him, I said, do you know the reputation Eaton is garnering throughout the trucking industry? You know, it's just, it's ridiculous. You can sell all you want. If you can't fix them, we don't want them.
Yeah, I mean, not to... The trucks is a much bigger problem, but Paycom, you know, we're 4 months into it, and now all of a sudden they're saying, well, we need to change the way our Colorado SIC works. You're telling us 4 months into it? I just found this out yesterday. It's like, it was working before, make it work again.
Right.
You told us you could do it.
Right.
You know, right now I just feel like they got a ship product.
Yeah.
You know, and it's super frustrating.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, tough to get through stuff when you're you're told one thing, but it's in another capacity, right?
Yep. So when I said BD is fighting everyone, what I mean is he's fighting for everyone here and fighting with everyone out there to make our trucks work. So just to clear that up.
Yeah, because they are great transmissions. I mean, it is a good product. Mm-hmm. They're just having some failures with them, right? Yep. There's if anybody heard my phone ringing, that's our Kenworth salesman right now that's been on he's probably listening to the podcast live. Got some bug in here.
He's been on it.
They're hacking on me. Yeah, he's been busting his ass for us.
No
I mean,
fault
Ricken is a JFW advocate.
Yeah, no fault of Rick's.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I told him, I'm sorry yesterday, but you're going to get some shit on you.
Start slinging it.
Can't stand next to that mud puddle without getting splashed.
Right?
Just can't do it.
Yeah.
Jim, I think this next one was yours. When in doubt, ask us.
Is it mine?
Yeah.
God, man, I've already forgot to ask.
Careful.
What are we talking about?
Right? Yeah, just the whole thing is just stop and ask. You know, speed kills, all the different stuff that goes with that, and you should ask. You know, if the tailgate doesn't close or the tire seems low, or you know, I can't see out of my spot mirror, or any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Or if you have something going on in your personal life and you don't know what to do, or
exactly,
you know, whatever the case may be, you got a team of people here that want to stand behind you and help you. It's easier to help you through something than to try to come back later and do damage control.
Right.
Yeah, and I think when, you know, there's some things that, you know, I guess you're right there, Jam, about being personal is that, I don't know how we breach that conversation. Try to trust us and talk to us, no matter what it is, and hopefully we can make the step.
Yeah, no matter what you got going on, we've probably seen it before, and we probably could help you.
Yeah, navigate it, I
or
guess.
can figure it out.
Or can figure it out.
Because we've never seen it all, we never will.
Yeah.
Right? We're faced with new things on a daily basis.
We won't be shocked. Let's just say that. It's easier to figure things out with a team of people than on your own.
Oh, 100%.
Iron sharpens iron, and
you
know, I could keep going on and on about all that. So
it's also that, you know, I know you've liked to say it, Jam, that, you know, we're one step away from one bad decision away from blowing up our entire lives. You know, and I guess that's me and Dave's talked about it. I don't know if I've talked about it with you, Jam. I'm not one step. I'm probably several steps, but I've built that life.
Right.
And I guess that's what we're asking. If you're close to that, then let us help you. At least discuss it with us, because just like you said, more people are better than making that one decision on your own where you can help people.
Yeah, Jim. I mean, I would say everybody in this room has built that life where, you know, and I'll just speak pretty honestly about it for me. I mean, I made a lot of bad decisions in my life, and it took me a long time to learn how to make the right decisions, you know, but one bad one, I could be right back where I was, you know, and it doesn't take a lot. I mean, it's just one bad decision. So I like to practice avoidance. You know, I don't put myself in situations to make bad decisions. I'll stay at home and make a good one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Call me boring if you want. I've had enough fun for my life, your life, your mom's life, everybody's life. Like I've done it all. So, yeah. Dustin, you want to talk about the truck rodeo?
Sure. As Jam just said, that we will be holding the first annual truck rodeo, and that's scheduled for April 1st. That's the goal date.
First
April 1st.
annual JFW End Up Trucking Rodeo.
Yeah,
Like,
truck
this ain't-
driving rodeo.
Yeah, this isn't like the CMCA truck rodeo. This is our rodeo.
Yeah.
And it's who's a group of people that help you put it together.
The group of people, it's Joanne, Troy, Casey, Potter, Jesse, Veronica, and myself.
Troy Hunt?
Troy Hunt, yes.
Oh, did you say Troy?
Yes.
And then what about JR?
Yeah, JR is a big part of it too.
Okay.
And we've all had a couple meetings, and it's been quite an experience getting this stuff to prepare to be done on April 1st.
Nice.
Yeah.
And plan is to have it at Yard 23,
Yeah.
right? Because there's enough area. And
Yes.
as you're talking about a truck rodeo, some kind of cones set up, some kind of course, backing course. It's going to be cultured. I don't know what word I'm looking for, but for end dump specific, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
With it being end dump specific, and I had an answer a while ago. I didn't like the answer, but I'm asking again. Is there a dumping portion?
No, there is not. It would be nice if we could do that, but it would just take way too much time.
Do you? Well, time too, or Dustin? Do you let him go? Okay, let's see if that guy passes. Nope, trailer fell on the ground. He didn't pass. That could be a little expensive.
Is
right?
there going to be a backup to a pile without tearing my mud flaps off test?
There should be.
So you need a loaded trailer for that.
Yes.
There should be, because we're spending thousands in mud flaps when we shouldn't spend any. We paid for them. They came on the trailer.
Tell us more, Dustin.
In order to be in this truck rodeo, you have to be here for 1 year, accident free. And let's see, the sign up deadline will be February 10th.
Okay.
And we would like to see everybody participate.
Okay.
Well, not everybody.
I was going to say, wait a minute.
Yeah,
As
everybody
long as you're
qualifies.
accident free.
As long as you fall into those guidelines, the 1 year accident free.
So at the minimum, you need to be here a year,
Yes.
accident free, or you just have to have your last 12 months accident free. If a guy's here 5 years, he couldn't have an accident in the last year.
Yes,
So by what was the cutoff, the deadline date?
February 10th.
Okay, so if you had an accident between February 10th, 2022 and February 10th, 2023, you can't compete.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
And we will have sign-up sheets here at the in the driver's room and at Yard 23.
Great.
Let's see. I'll go over like what we're thinking about having. It's a 20 to 25 question test.
Okay.
End dump.
Specific?
Yeah, specific. There will be like a pre-trip test.
Great.
Yeah, so we will set up like different scenarios on a truck, and you have to catch the faults of the truck.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah, so you'll never know what we'll throw at you.
Yeah, just leave a tailgate open. That'll be going.
Yeah.
Tire off the beat.
Fire up the beat.
And there will be a driving course, like a skills course.
Sweet.
It's semantics, but can we call it the pre/post trip? Test.
Sure. We could do anything.
It's semantics, but that may hit someone.
And there will be like prizes, trophies, first, second, and third. Then there will be a trophy for an overall, like top scorer.
Uh-huh.
So
You said prizes.
yeah, like trophies
Okay, sweet.
and bragging rights.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you going to compete
No, the people that are
on the board?
on the board cannot compete. It's like a conflict of interest.
That's
So-
got to be.
I'm just curious, and I hope I'm not putting you on the spot, Dustin. What is the goal of the rodeo?
Thanks, Dave. For the goal would be to I don't know, show off your skills.
Bragging rights?
Yeah, bragging rights.
Okay.
And,
Build camaraderie, have a fun event.
yeah.
So we always talk about with the new people, how do we involve them?
Right.
Is it fair that I've only worked here 9 months and I can't compete?
Yep.
Why?
Got to have a criteria. If you're not a safe driver, you shouldn't be competing in a rodeo.
I just said work here 9 months, not safe
So
driver.
if they're
I mean,
accident free for 9 months, could they still compete? I say
Well, no, if they're accident free, but I'm making it up, have only worked here 6 months, can they compete? Or I guess
Guy walks in the door, been here 3 weeks, just got out of training, but he's a hell of a driver.
Hey, remember Alex Reza worked here about 2 weeks, and he nailed that backup contest.
that's
we
my
had.
exact point, Dave. And I think I feel like we're not involving
The right
everyone,
people.
and I think the goal should be to involve everyone that could possibly do it. Now, my next worry about that, Dustin, if we do that, and I'm not telling you that's what we want done by any means, because it's just your guys' rodeo, but would that mean we're going to have 100 people that we need to test on that day? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know who all would still want to do it, but I think we need to open our doors and be inclusive to everyone, not really. I almost visualize it penalizing people because they haven't been here a year. The accident free, I could kind of, I get that. I understand the reasoning with it. But then in the back of my head, I'm like, well, wait a minute. Maybe if they've had an accident, they should compete in this, and we can see.
That's exactly how I feel.
Right,
'Cause
we can see what their issue is, or where we could help coach them up to be better because they can't back up, and that's where they had the accident, was a backing accident. I'm just making that up, right?
Sure.
So I don't know. That's my 2 cents worth, Dustin, and I'm not fighting you like Jam says I'm fighting everyone. You know what I mean? But I think we need to be inclusive to every single person here.
I think you're fighting for everyone, Dave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dave, put the spoon down. Well, you're stirring the pot.
I can't make that decision. I will have to ask everybody if
Bring
they.
it to your board.
Yeah, I'll bring it to my board.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to see a perfect pile contest. Just the right slope, the right.
So does
know,
this mean
leg-
that you're willing to do it too?
I'll run the loader. But you know as well as I do, you dump that pile and it's like perfect. You look back on it and say, man, that's a damn good pile.
Yep. I've even taken pictures of my piles.
So am I.
Perfect dumps.
Man, I'm not going to touch that.
Yeah, definitely.
What piles you talking about?
I have a
Right.
17-year-old boy at home. I'm not even going into
creases
that.
from your tailgate going across, right?
Yep.
Yep, perfectly smooth.
Oh man.
That's funny.
Yeah, like Dave just said, I don't think that's to put you on the spot there, Dustin, or the board or anything. And you guys have been handling it. We told you we didn't want to be involved. Not we didn't want to be involved. We wanted you guys to take the reins and try to handle it. But I think that is something that Dave, just brought up, that we discussed that because we're, but that's from. When we talked 6 months ago, Dustin, about it, to what you guys have done till now, and then we see like the blind spot, accidents. We're like, well, maybe we do need a guy that's had accidents in this, so you guys, as the board, can go, that guy can't back up. We should help him out, right? So something to discuss.
And with the state championship rodeo, they do have a blind spot backing part on their driving course. Nice. So we plan on putting that in. I'm assuming because Troy and Potter are in charge of the course. That's what they're coming up with, the course, the layout, everything.
Better be good. Troy's been talking a big game about setting a course up for 4 years or however long he's been here. So it better be the best course ever, Troy.
I do. I mean, we need to caution everybody because that's a Saturday. I mean, if we had 90 people to volunteer to go participate in this, we still may have to work half a Saturday first.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there's all these logistics to what we do.
And why can't it be on a Sunday?
It can be.
I mean, we don't have to worry about trucking.
I didn't come up with April 1st.
I did.
Yeah.
I'll take the boot.
Let's make it harder.
Well, I mean, come on, let's face it.
Sunday's left for families
we work
usually.
a lot of hours, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
First rodeo.
To
I get it.
sit there and work all week and throw a 12-hour Sunday in there is an extremely long week.
We are really great about fitting 10 pounds in a 5-pound bucket, so let's do it.
Yeah, again, I mean, just joking with David yesterday, the CPA, he just lost an important person to his staff, and had some family issues and stuff, so he's trying to replace him, and he's struggling finding a CPA to replace this person, and a quality person. And he goes, so I'm just going to do what I always do. He said, I'm just going to work even harder and try to get through the stuff. And, he goes, that's no answer, but that's what he has to do. He's coming into tax season.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Busiest season of the year.
Right, Dave? Yeah. Yeah.
So just moving out of the holidays, we had 2 paid holidays, Christmas and New Year's, and those were both paid holidays. Can anybody guess how much the payroll was for those holidays?
For those 2 days, right, Jim?
Yep,
Yeah.
for those 2 days.
Yeah.
I can guess, but that's because I know.
So it wouldn't be a guess.
It was.
Super Dave, do you know?
I'm going to pull my calculator out real quick, and
Oh,
I'll
geez.
tell you in a
Dustin, you want to guess?
I don't want to guess.
Yeah, we were guessing yesterday but then me and Dave found out how much it was, and then it was like,
$50,000
maybe we.
For both?
for both days.
It's pretty close.
You
Dave.
are pretty close.
Yeah,
Dave.
pretty close. Yeah.
So the Christmas holiday was 33,000, and the New Year's holiday was 32,000 that we gave out for holiday pay.
And my guess
So
would have been
six-
60.
Yeah. So
65,000
Yeah.
for those 2 paid holidays.
And if I remember
What JFW
correctly,
paid.
yeah.
That's free money.
Yeah. I think as far as the people that are eligible, so to be eligible for holiday pay, your benefits would have to have kicked in, right? So
Right.
the first day of the month after you've been here 60 days, you could get holiday pay.
Yep.
I think there was 2, maybe 4 people company-wide that missed it for combined for both holidays.
Gotcha.
So pretty much, yeah, we had a pretty good showing before and after
Yeah.
the holiday. And the reason we do that is if you're not here the day before your scheduled day to work, unless you have approved paid time off or approved unpaid time off, is people just extend their holidays, and that doesn't help the house.
Right. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we just want to brag on that's what we're willing to invest in people. And sometimes we hear the complaints about I didn't get paid for my late load, it took me too long, or blah 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 blah. And those are the things we talk about. You have to look at this job as a whole, and realize, hey, I have 6 paid holidays here. The 401k, the health benefits. There's a lot of benefits to being here, and I guess
PTO days, the paid insurance.
yeah, exactly.
The match on the 401k.
Yeah,
it does sound like we're bragging, but
The award
We are.
winner, the award-winning culture.
Yeah.
We've never gotten an award, but
We've just never talked about that, Jim. We've never put it into a financial term. You know what I mean? Like, hey, holy cow! In December, JFW paid $65,000 for holiday pay.
Yep.
That's my eyebrows raised.
Yep, it's a brand new truck.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. I want to promote a fundraiser event that JR and his significant other Ellen, through her nonprofit that she works for, there is a fundraiser called An Evening of Hope, and it's a fundraiser to benefit victims of domestic violence. It is Friday, February 24th from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. at La Rumba. Okay. There's going to be hors d'oeuvres, music, dance class, a silent auction, and community speakers. So tickets are available. They're $35 for early bird tickets and $50 after January 15th. The easiest way you could probably get a hold of somebody is through JR. Just email or contact JR. His email is jr@jfwtrucking.com. I think it's for a good cause, and I'm thinking about maybe me and my wife need to participate in this.
Yeah,
You need
that's
some
awesome.
dancing lessons.
I probably do need some dancing lessons. I know how to dance one way, and it's not for all songs.
It's kind of funny when my wife and I got married. That was 28 years ago, but we did like the new marriage things, right? And we took dance lessons to
Sure.
do all these country dance things and stuff. And we met a couple in that dance class, and it was kind of funny. They were like our go-to partners, and what I mean by that is, I don't care who you are, during that class at some point you get frustrated.
Right.
And pretty soon, you and your spouse or significant other while they're there, you can just see the tension, and we just automatically got to know this couple. Like if we had tension, one of them was just coming over and we switched partners, or vice versa. And to this day, we're great friends. Not that way, Jam. But to this day, we're great friends.
Nice.
You know what I mean? So 28 years of friendship was built on Learn How to Dance class,
That's awesome.
It was. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, there's some videos. I forget what it's called, but there's like all sorts of DVDs and stuff that you could do at home with your partner. But I've seen some of those weddings where the couples actually learn these pretty intricate dances, Dave, and it's pretty wild. All right, questions from the audience. Jesse Baeza wants to know why we don't have a JFW store where people outside of JFW could buy apparel.
Oh, I don't know. Just hasn't happened.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be for our people. You know what I mean? But yeah.
We just give them everything.
Exactly. I was going to say, we have a store. Yeah. They come up and
it's free.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
By the way, one thing that isn't in the notes, but if you have apparel from another trucking company, we don't want you to wear at JFW. Okay? We want you to wear, if you're wearing trucking apparel, we want it to be JFW trucking apparel. That's not to say Kenworth or Peterbilt or something like that. But to sweeten the deal is, if you're wearing let's just say, theoretically, a Ralph Martinez hoodie, right?
We're going to put you in a headlock.
Exactly. Put you in a headlock.
Yeah.
You can come up and throw your Ralph Martinez hoodie away, and we'll give you a JFW hoodie.
Absolutely.
So if you got apparel from other trucking companies and we don't want you to wear it, we'll put our skin in the game and give you new apparel.
Yep.
Yeah,
So-
Jam,
I'll have to
but
bring in my Calabrese coat.
You
so I
should.
can get a new coat.
Damn, Dave.
I mean, I'm sure if you're working at Coors, they don't want a person there with their Budweiser shirt on.
No, that's
Right?
a rule. When
Yeah.
we do our
Right?
little thing annually over there at Coors,
I know it.
There's
Yeah.
no competitors' gear
Absolutely.
allowed.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
like we talked the other day. If you're playing for the Broncos, you don't show up in a cowboy jersey.
Exactly.
You know, it's
yeah.
the
Raise
same.
your bar, do better.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you can wear, never mind. Let's see.
Your tail, your what fins, whatever for your mermaid costume. You can't.
Oh
wear
yeah, you
that.
can wear a mermaid. Yeah, you want to play dress up and wear some stuff like that? Go for it. And I did clarify you're allowed to wear gun shirts. So that was my main concern when this whole thing came
Something
about.
with the American flag on it.
Super Dave called me out.
You
Just
were
get
so
to the
funny.
point,
You were
Jan.
just kind of beating around the bush with
So
that. I
let's
had to
say a guy likes this brand of gun.
Nike apparel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dave's like, just say it. You want to wear your gun stuff. Sweet. So, safety topic of the week. Just want to make sure I'm not skipping anything here before we move on. Boom. Boom. Yep. Safety topic of the week. JR actually wrote this, and it's called Be Defendable. This is something that we've brought up before. And he wrote, Jim and BD have mentioned it before on previous podcasts and safety meetings time and time again. Are you defendable? If we got a call from someone that we broke their windshield, yet we're hauling grain, and that person sent a picture of the trailer drip tray full of salt, sand, and other aggregates, can we still defend you and JFW that we're not at fault for broken windshield? The answer is no. So basically, if somebody calls and said we broke a windshield, but we're hauling cores all day, we would say, we didn't have any, we weren't hauling rock, but then you got rock stuck in your drip tray from the day before, we're no longer defendable. If you got into an accident and the officers or court asked for dash cam footage and found that you were distracted, being it you reaching for something on the floorboards, checking your phone, looking out your driver's side window across the road / highway at another accident or event, being distracted, would you be defendable? More than likely not. Point is, we are professional drivers pulling aggregates in an end dump, doing an essential job for our communities, our cities, our state, and we 100% focused on doing the job in its entirety or only partially committed? If you answered the latter, then we have a problem that affects all of JFW. It only takes one person here to mess it up for everyone. Be proud of what we do here at JFW and carry yourself that way on a daily basis. Doing the right thing isn't always easy. In fact, sometimes it's really hard, but just remember that doing the right thing is always right. We mention words like grit, and it's necessary to have here at JFW and in our industry as a whole. And then he gave the acronym for GRIT. Give it your all. Redo if necessary. Ignore giving up. Take time to do it right. Baby, you can do it. Take your time. Do it right. So. Great job, JR. I love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
good
Yeah,
job.
I love the way he came up with the acronym for GRIT.
Yeah.
That's good.
That is awesome.
I mean, isn't that everything we've talked about here in the podcast, though?
Yep.
You know, doing the post trip, checking your tailgate before you leave or load. You know, just all of that stuff. It's the job.
It truly is. You can't get
We've
around
given
it.
you the tools. We've asked. We've taught. We've trained. It's up to you to do it.
Yep.
And it sure isn't difficult.
It's only as hard as you make it.
Right.
Yep. Dustin, you want to do the tips and tricks? It's from Ray, but you want to do that, and
Sure, I guess. Even though it's Ray.
then Super Dave, got your high road hauling. I'm gonna run out.
This tips and tricks is from Ray. If your airline or electrical line is dragging on your catwalk and you don't have time to undo your lines to get them off of your catwalk, unplug one of the lines next to it, twist it once or twice to get it off the catwalk. Then at the end of the day, fix it correctly.
Yeah, I think what he's talking about, don't you, Dustin, is a lot of the times the bungees, when I've tried to fix them, are possibly rotten because they've been on there so long, or they're so tight it takes quite a while. But you can put a coil in like the brake line, just like he said, and at least pull it off the deck. You can't really do that with the hydraulic line, but your brake line, your electric cords, you can do that with. Yeah, that's a good tip. But the ultimate thing is to fix it correctly by lifting it, tying it to the pogo stick, and getting it off the deck. And like we talk so much, I see people with them dragging on the decks all the time.
And my thing is, we have it right in there. If you don't have time, why don't you have time every night?
Yeah. I mean, he says it. At the day to fix it correctly.
Yeah.
You have the time to fix
Yeah.
it correctly. Just get
Yeah,
it done.
Absolutely.
What is it going to take 15 minutes out of your day?
Not even.
Yeah. Yep.
One thing I always did that is foolproof. I mean, I've never had a problem with the line slipping, but use two bungees. One bungee only for the hydraulic line, because that is such a big, heavy line. It needs to be wrapped very tightly. And then use a second bungee for your airlines in the 7-way plug and the tar plug. And it has always worked. It just, that way there is no slippage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely, Dave.
And
Good tip, Ray. Thank you.
always have a backup bungee too.
Yeah, a couple bungees. I mean, it could be just as even in the middle of the summer. It could be that chaining. You're using that if it's the winter time, or tie up a mud flap, or pull up a fender, or you just like good tip too, Dustin, about having that extra bungee. So, Super Dave, you want to do the high road hauling? For
Yeah,
us?
I'm ready. I've done a couple high road haulings over the years about integrity, but it was just on my mind, and so I thought I'd ask, everybody listening out there, what is integrity? Integrity means being honest and having strong moral principles. A person with integrity behaves ethically and does the right thing, even behind closed doors. And we always joke about that when, doing the right thing when nobody else is looking, right? That's integrity. For instance, informing a cashier that they just gave you too much change, or you're going back to the store to pay for something you forgot to pay for. Those are two examples of integrity in everyday circumstances. So here are 7 traits associated with integrity. Number 1, express gratitude for others. People with integrity recognize that their friends and coworkers and community make their lives better. They show gratitude by always remembering to say a simple thank you when someone helps them out. They might also take the time to write a thoughtful note to a coworker who helped them complete an important project. Or they may go the extra mile to give their friend a gift when they've supported them through a difficult time. Number 2, communicate honestly and openly. A person with integrity doesn't run away from difficult conversations or situations. No matter the situation, integrity ultimately means your moral principles are more important than your personal comfort. And honesty can be uncomfortable sometimes. 3, take responsibility for your actions, good and bad. If you have integrity, it means you're accountable for your actions, even when you miss the mark. It's easy to take ownership when you do something well. However, integrity really comes into play when you face failure. If you want to live with integrity and grow personally, you must learn to admit when you make a mistake and then choose to learn from it. 4, respect yourself and those around you, no matter where you are. You might not think of boundaries when you think of integrity. However, living in integrity means living at peace with yourself and your values and relationship boundaries. Whether it's with your coworkers or your family, respect others' boundaries and your own. 5, help those in need without sacrificing your own health. This trait goes hand in hand with respecting yourself and others. People with integrity naturally want to help others, but what separates them from most people is their ability to know their own limits. But they'll always be there to prioritize their own self-care, fueling themselves so they can stay resilient for years to come. 6, demonstrate reliability and trustworthiness. Knowing how to build trust is important in all of life, especially when it comes to integrity at work. If you're a member of a team or organization, people count on you to do what you say you will. If you don't, there will be consequences not only just for you, but for everyone around you. And 7, show patience and flexibility, even when unexpected obstacles show up. People with integrity overcome life's obstacles with resilience. For example, let's say they lost their job. They may feel hopeless or frustrated at first. However, a person with integrity would eventually see that this challenge is just another opportunity for growth. With a bit of patience and flexible expectations, they can take positive action. Do you live your life with integrity? Think about that for a little bit, you guys. In the quote this week, the foundation stones for a balanced success are honesty, character, integrity, faith, love, and loyalty. And that was spoken by Zig Ziglar.
Nice.
Awesome.
Good
stuff.
Good one, Dave. Yeah,
Good job, Soup.
absolutely.
Final thoughts, everybody?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to attack it a little different. I like to come up with something a little different for the final thought. And Super Dave,
Attack for his final argument.
attack. Yeah, yeah.
Fighting with everybody.
And we talk about how so much of it ties together with your high road hauling, but like you just said, Dave, we talk about the same thing, kind of the same.
It is.
In every podcast. And I came across, in fact, I think it was a sermon I overheard, but basically, do you smell? Just want to know, do you smell?
Smell good.
Right, Jam? And there's bad smells and good smells. And if you think about good smells, so you got butterflies, you got bumblebees, you got hummingbirds, all that's attracted to good smells or bright colors or how those things are. But if you smell, you're just flies, right? You've never seen a bumblebee or a butterfly or a hummingbird on shit, have you?
Nope.
You stink, right? You smell. So let's if you've been next to a smelly person, or somebody with bad breath,
You don't want to be next to that person, do you?
you don't want to be next to that
But
person.
you want to be next to the one that smells good.
right, and you're not attracted, even if significant other. You don't want to date, in my case, a smelly woman or something like that, right? I mean, if Holly
worse.
smelled, I don't think we would have been together for whatever it is, 28 years or 26 years. But I guess that's what I'm leading up to is, do you smell while you're doing your job? Do you stink? Right? Are you doing your job, or are you collecting anything? Are you attracting anything as you're doing your job, like a bumblebee or a butterfly or a hummingbird? Are you collecting the good? Because I bet if you smell good doing your job, you have a lot of good coming to you. You're wearing your bright colors. The customers out there are attracted to you. The public is attracted to you.
Coworkers,
Your other drivers are attracted to you because you smell good. And I know I've related it to your smell, but are you doing it the right way so you're attractive?
Nice.
And if
That's
you're
deep, Jim.
right,
You're creating quite an analogy there.
if you're not attractive, you must stink. And
And you're not doing your job well.
Well, don't walk around like your shit don't stink.
that's true too. That's true too. Because along those lines, so if you tell somebody to do something, Dustin, but then you don't do it, your shit stinks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's all there is to it. Yep. So I guess I would what I'm getting to on my final thoughts is, do you smell? Just think about it.
You know, if it looks like a fish, smells like a fish, and tastes like a fish, usually it's a fish.
Right, Dave?
Mm.
Right?
I'm wearing my cologne next week.
Just a thought.
I like it. Who's next?
I'll roll up. I
do
got
it.
10 powerful work habits for 2023. What do you guys
Ooh.
think of that?
I love it.
We'll dive in on a couple of them and just braze across some others. So we talk about it all the time. As a matter of fact, you are rewarded because you earn a weekly attendance bonus here if you're timely. And I say you earn it. We don't take it. You earn it, right?
So be on
So
time?
be punctual, be professional at the workplace, right? Punctual. No one, we've been on enough jobs. If you're waiting for this person to show up or waiting for that person to show up, it's frustrating, right?
You got to be skilled to be on time?
Apparently some people do, Jam, but no, for the most part, you don't need
Show up
any
on
skill
time.
at all, right? You haven't been trained for that. Someone just said, hey, you need to be here at this time.
Boom.
What's it take to get there? Yeah, totally
Like it.
agree. Yeah. Number 2 on the list is respect and achieve deadlines. We talk about that here, with your loads and whatnot. Those
Sure.
are deadlines. We got to get those loads. Manage time for a healthy work-life balance. That's part of our PTO program. Getting your days off, paid days off that you've earned from being timely.
Yes.
Right? And the paid holidays that we provide.
Love it.
Kind of cool, huh? Here's one that we don't probably talk about enough or haven't talked about recently, I guess I'll say that. Take criticism well. Ooh. And, that was kind of, I don't know if I'm turning this into the truck rodeo, Dustin, but, taking those people that may not make the criteria and having them attempt it. And, I'm just making it up. Like they don't get 100 on the backup test. And you can show them, hey, this is the reason why. You could look at that as criticism, or they could look at that as criticism, but you have to have criticism to get better, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's how it works.
Perfect example.
Go ahead, Jim.
Hate to jump in, but we had a problem. We had some short loads up at CMEX 2 days ago. So I called 3 drivers. One of them didn't take the criticism very well at all.
Right. I heard that conversation. I was like,
that wasn't
whoa.
good at all. And then the next 2 were like, their answers were amazing. One was like, yeah, I'm aware I'm trying to get closer to this weight. And the other one just said, yeah, I screwed up. So there you go.
Yeah. No, it was a good example, Jim.
Yep.
Yeah. So number 5 is ask relevant questions. There's always questions here to our job that our job is unique in the trucking world, right? Not everybody pulls an end dump. If you've been in freight for 20 years, we are 100% different, or flatbeds, or whatever the case may be. So
You and Jim are great at asking relevant questions.
oh, that's funny.
It's true.
So number 6, be organized, right? Super Dave talks about this. I tease him about being a Boy Scout, but be organized. Be prepared for cold weather if you're going out of town, or just on days like today. We all knew we had a chance of snow, which just during this podcast, man, it blew in, hammered us, and it's gone now.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So anyway,
just I don't really want to take away from you, but is a post trip and a pre trip part of being prepared?
oh, 100%, Jim.
I mean, that's all that is preparing.
Yeah.
How many snowstorms do you think we've plowed now?
4, 5.
At least, right?
Yeah.
Safe number to say. So we had to work on one of the sanders, right? We have 2 sanders, right? Both of those sanders have grates up top, right?
Okay.
Well, we've had some problems with the sand freezing and clumping. We can't get the sand out. Do you know how you get the sand out? You take a shovel and you turn it upside down, and you just poke the handle through the grate and break up the sand. Well, 5 storms and no one has a shovel on either of those trucks,
That's not prepared.
right? And I'm like, why don't we have a shovel? Are these trucks not at the yard? Is there not a shovel available? Do we not have that tool to provide it? I mean,
It's pretty important.
so we have the tools, but we need to be organized and promote those think it forward type situations. So that goes along with communicate effectively. If you're going to be in one of those trucks and you need a shovel, maybe you should ask. Dan Hawk, kudos to Dan. He came in. He's in a brand new truck this morning. Hey, I don't have a shovel. There's nothing on it. What would you like me to do? Right, Dave? Mm-hmm. He was prepared. Good job, Dan Hawk. Good to have you back here at the
welcome
shore,
back,
too, buddy.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Mr. Carter.
I just put it together while I saw him this morning. Excellent.
This one I love. Take initiatives and learn a skill proactively. God, I just love that. And there's some definitions or descriptions under each of these. And it says, if all you do is sit and admire productive people, you won't taste success. To do good work and climb the success ladder fast, you must upskill. So take note of skills you don't have and attend workshops or professional certification courses to fill in knowledge gaps. I look at that, if I'm sitting somewhere waiting to dump and there's 3 trucks in front of me and, it's a location that I've dumped 5 times or 50 times and someone does it a different way, I'm focused on that. And I'm like, that's brilliant. Why didn't I think of that? And that person's been doing it like that. It's faster, it's better, it's safer. And I never even thought of that. Those are the things to pay attention to.
Did
right?
he use a different soap and just smells better?
So anyway, take initiatives and learn a skill proactively. Proactively means on your own, right? You've learned that on your own. Someone hasn't told you to do that.
Which is part of your integrity.
Exactly. Also part of our creed, we face and overcome all that stands before us.
Absolutely.
So, number 9, say no to procrastination. Chances are you'd rather scroll through social media feeds during office hours than complete a project you dislike.
I'm guilty a couple times.
I can't lie. I just sat here on this podcast and talked about a TikTok. I'm not going to tell you when I watched it.
Before David came in and I was trying to get the books right, I'm like, I need a TikTok break.
So, however, when you postpone important stuff, it only makes things worse. And before you know it, kaboom, you're way past the deadline. Don't let the fear of deadlines get the better of you. If a task bothers you too much, you might as well get it over with. It's also a healthy habit to commit to the task at hand and always finish what you started. So I love that stuff.
Yeah.
And the last one on here is, if you're having problems with something, use a habit management app. I've never looked one of these up. When I read this, I was like, oh, very cool. So I need to look one up here. But it says, no longer confused about the what are work habits question? Awesome. But developing good work habits take time, and bad habits are difficult to let go of. In fact, if you ask most habit coaches, they'll probably say it takes you about 21 days to form a habit. And then it goes over how to stay on task. This is where habit tracking or productivity apps like ClickUp come into the picture. So ClickUp is one of the most popular and highest rated habit management apps used by productive teams across all domains. It's an all-in-one app that lets you set up, manage, and track your personal projects and professional goals with ease. So,
wow, are they sponsoring this podcast?
No, but just a little tip there.
I like it. Dustin, you got final thoughts?
I do have a final thought. I've been thinking a lot lately, like the last 5 months. I have nothing else better to do.
Right.
And
This is going to be a foot of wisdom.
Man.
Sorry, Dustin.
But it is really easy to go into a negative mind.
Sure.
Really easy. And I've tried my best not to be negative, but there was days that I was absolutely down and out.
Sure.
And talking to people and being able to explain what my situation was and stuff like that, and it brought me back into a positive state of mind. Mm-hmm. If you're ever thinking negative, feel free to call me because it gets really bad.
Yeah.
And you've helped me out. Just coming here and seeing all you guys have helped me out, it puts a smile on my face just to come back to work and see everybody. I've missed everybody here. And just be positive. I've changed myself so much in positive thinking instead of always being negative. Like, I thought that was the only way to be, like, negative. Mm-hmm. That was the biggest downfall in my life, was negativity.
Probably may not have even known it, right?
I didn't know it at
that was
all.
just how things were, right?
That's just how things were,
yeah,
yes.
I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah. And having a positive outlook on everything just puts a perspective on life that it is wonderful feeling.
Yep. I like that, Dustin. We're designed for community. You know what I mean? And I get into like little loner phases where I could do it by myself but yeah, if you're
little loner phase.
Yeah, like if you're, like you said, if you're by yourself, you know, you got a broke foot, you're sitting at home, you're by yourself all day, all the kids out of the house, your wife is gone, and you're sitting there left with your thoughts, that's a dangerous place to be if those aren't good thoughts. If you're going through something in your personal life and you're out in a truck all by yourself for the day and your thoughts aren't really that positive, that's a dangerous place for you to be, where you're just stewing over things and creating false narratives and, you know, all these things that didn't even really happen yet. You know what I mean? Yep. So to your point, call Dustin.
Yeah, please do. Like, everybody should have my phone number. I'm willing to talk to anybody.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I do have to say, Dustin, and I know you'll back me on this, but Jam is a great guy to call on that stuff because he comes like out of the box with shit, and it cracks me up. He had a conversation yesterday, you know, with a person that called in, and the other end of the line was a little bit negative, and you know the person said a few things, and Jam's like, "No, dude, I'm not mad at you. You just owe me 50 burpees." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or, you know, just stuff like that. And
Yeah.
I'm like, it just cracked me up. You know,
Absolutely.
So, good stuff.
Yeah. When you talk about being, you know, depressed or whatever, that was part of the sermon about the smelling part, but it was the flower, is you don't know at that point that you're not attractive, and being depressed is not attractive. But it's hard to be that flower, just like you're saying, and to be attractive.
Yeah.
And that's what we all need. Maybe we all need a little bit of water, you know, or a little bit of sunshine, or a little bit of fertilizer.
And all it took for me too is to have like texts, FaceTime me. The dude's going down the road with his FaceTime. He's paying attention driving, and I'm just staring at him driving. And I told him that I was going to confess my love for him today. So
There it is.
yeah, there it is right there.
Why are you down on one knee, Dustin? Get up. Soup, you got any final thoughts?
Boy, it's tough to follow that. I just got to say, here, Dustin, you've come a long way.
Thank you.
And you're just doing a great job. And boy, before you blink your eyes, before you know, you'll be back at it, driving that truck and you know, doing your thing every day. And I can't wait.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And you've been missed as well. You know, we miss you as well. And you know, you've been around the office the last couple of days. Saw you at church over the past weekend, and it's good to see you, Dustin. And
Absolutely.
you know, sometimes you got to remember you're not alone. And you know, sometimes people aren't gonna reach out for you to come join them. Just be there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, sometimes it's up to you to say, hey, you know what, like, I need to get out of the house and like go be around people. You know what I mean? So, my final thought. So I bought a pair of shorts from this company called Born Primitive the other day, and
Born Primitive,
right? They actually have an outdoor line for hunting right now, and kind of raised my eyebrows. And anyway, they're mostly like gym
hunting shorts.
Well, Born Primitive Outdoors.
Mikey's got some of those.
So this is their fitness apparel, and they just started an outdoor line for hunting. But before I spend a lot of money on hunting gear, I'm like, well, let me buy a pair of shorts to see if their stuff's shit or not. You know what I mean? But anyway, of course, you sign up for the emails, and they have an anthem and this and that. But I watched their anthem yesterday, and it's pretty badass. I'm going to read it, and it is gym-related, but part of it you could just apply to your life anyway. So anyway, it says, The relationship between man and iron is the ultimate metaphor for life. The iron doesn't care how busy you are or how much sleep you got. It offers no refuge to your excuses or your self-pity. You only get what you earn. 315 pounds is always 315 pounds. Just like life burdens, some days the weight is going to feel heavier than others. You still have to show up. You still have to put in the work, because anything truly worthwhile in life requires hard work and sacrifice. No shortcuts, no handouts, no entitlements. People can make excuses all day long about why they aren't successful, but let's speak a hard truth. At the end of the day, the only one stopping you is you. So what's it going to be?
Boom.
Bam. Now you want to go buy a pair of shorts.
That's the whack over the head, huh? Who's it on, me or is it someone else's?
Yeah, I mean,
Why am I not successful?
Yeah, sometimes there's unfortunate circumstances, but you put two different people in the same set of circumstances. One of them's going to get off the island, one of them may not.
Yeah.
So that's my final thought. You guys want to say the creed and
Absolutely.
Sure.
head on out?
See if we can do better than the last time I
Oh,
did it
man.
with all you guys.
Super Dave, don't screw it up.
I'm going to put it in front of me, Super Dave. Oh, you got it on your phone.
Together,
I go over this creed sometimes 3 times a day, but yet put the microphone in front of me and I screw up.
together we face and overcome all that stands before us. Together we are accident-free. Together we joyfully create honest value for those we serve. Together we celebrate our differences and respect those with whom we work. Together we are accountable for our words and our actions. Together we are the JFW family. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks, Dustin.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dustin.